Do 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 do. Fun fact, I just turned 30 this year. Yeah. And of these 30 years of life, I've probably spent about 23 of them chronically online. Back to the 2000s, into the 2010s, and still now in 2025. I've been around for tons of different forums, image boards, chat sites, you name it, I at least know about it. And during the 2010s when I was going through and getting out of high school, a thing I've talked about before on this channel is how there was a large period of time where shonen manga and anime kinda just got blanket shit on by the internet elitists. How if you enjoyed Bleach, Naruto, or any of the other Major Jump series post like 1998, you were a dumbass stupid babby who should grow the hell up and read real manga like Berserk, Vagabond, or Gantz. Now, this is something that has really changed here in 2025. More people in general being pretty fairly accepting to all types of manga or anime. From shonen battles to shoujo slices of life with everything in between, they're gonna have fans out there online somewhere. And holding the mirror up to myself, this was a thing I had to work on. I was raised in those online forums where hating shit like Naruto was just normal. It was accepted that manga like this was just shonen garbage. So I kinda just believed that myself for a really long time. I was still young and impressionable / stupid. Now fast forward to 2014, I was browsing Crunchyroll on my PS4 when I saw this box art for Naruto, this one specifically, and something about it just kind of caught me. Like I would scroll past it and move on, but each time it came back around, I stopped on it longer, looking at it, wondering, before going, nah, that's way too long, and moving on again. This went on for about a week or two before finally I said to myself, let's play one of the Naruto games instead. Because video games are and always will be my main entertainment focus. I've been playing shit since I was like 2. So, subconsciously, I think I was trying to just trick myself into watching the show through enjoying a game. My local GameStop having a copy of Ultimate Storm 3 Full Burst for the PS3, me grabbing it the next day, and that shit did it. All I knew about Naruto before was red eye powers and believe it. But seeing the rest of the cast for the first time and their moves, Neji in his hyper fast palm strikes, Shikamaru's shadow possession, and how Naruto himself, who I knew made clones but that was really it, used them in combat with shit like the Uzumaki Barrage, both the regular and 2K versions, all combined together with a pretty honestly cool story. Those later Ultimate Storm games have those big, flashy battles and some super well-made cutscenes, and it kinda had me shook. Sure, Ultimate Ninja Storm games are known for being so simple and straightforward, mash circle and teleport to win type shit. But to someone who just wanted to see what Naruto was like, it was a non-stop showcase of some extremely cool moves, combined with amazing designs and seemingly interesting plot moments. So with that, I said, fuck it, let's watch the anime, what could happen? And now, almost 12 years later, here I am with a full-length Naruto-related tattoo on my arm and making an almost 3-hour video on the series. Why, I think it's deserved to last so long in pop culture, and why I no matter what I may criticize about it in these next couple of hours. Truly love both this manga and anime so much. So with that out of the way, let's just jump right in there. There's a lot to get to. There's a lot of shit I want to ramble about. Going back to 1999 and introducing the loudmouth hero of our story, Naruto himself. So, Naruto began running in Shonen Jump on September 21st of 1999, lasting for 72 total volumes over the next 15 years and getting both an over 200 episode anime and a 500 episode sequel anime, combined with tons of movies, light novels, spin-offs, games, stage dramas, and of course, a full-on sequel series, Boruto. Like, you know what it is, you know what's up. If you're watching this fucking channel, you know how popular Naruto has been for probably most of your life now. How even with all of the critiques about both it and Boruto, the manga has sold into the triple-digit millions worth of copies, with Boruto itself even also having a fairly large amount of sales for a full-on sequel series. It's still being one of Viz's best-selling manga and anime series over here in the US of all time. Shit, I was just in Japan in December of last year and went to Tokyo Tower, and they had a bunch of keychains of Naruto characters hanging out at Tokyo Tower. Like, yeah, Japan has trinkets everywhere, but the official Tokyo Tower store sells Naruto merch still in Christmas of 2024. This all being spawned from the one guy behind the series itself, Masashi Kishimoto. A dude who, despite having been criticized online for a very long time now, is someone who just legitimately and obsessively loved manga growing up, turning his passion into a career. Like, he was a kid who loved Fist of the North Star, Dr. Slump, Dragon Ball, Akira. He's been a fan of manga, anime, and art for as long as he can remember. When he was a kid in diapers, he apparently smeared his shit all over the wall like a canvas. And when his mom told him about it later in life, his reaction was literally, "Damn, I must have always really wanted to be an artist, huh?" Like, bro has been committed since birth. He has a twin brother, Seishi, him actually being the creator of the series 666, or O-Parts Hunter here in the US. And they were basically artistic rivals growing up, both training together and trying to impress each other. Which is really funny in hindsight, because if you go read Seishi's manga, his style is so similar to early Naruto that it's legitimately uncanny. Like, where Masashi's art would go in the direction it does towards Shippuden and the Ninja War, Seishi's never really stopped looking like that 2003 to 4 era Naruto, but in a really cool way. But that's a conversation for a different day. And to skip ahead about 15 to 20 years, after the ending of Naruto, Kishimoto has still been fairly active in the manga world, but has taken a backseat on a lot of artistic duties, instead choosing to basically be the lead producer. He's like George Lucas was on the later Star Wars stuff, having wrote the unfortunately cancelled Samurai 8, The Tale of Hachimaru, working with one of his longtime assistants, Akira Okubo. Him drawing with Kishimoto writing for 5 total volumes before its unceremonious end we'll talk about later, while also overseeing the Boruto sequel. it being drawn by another longtime assistant, Mikio Ikemoto, while Kishimoto helps with the general plot and character writing, which we will also talk about later. All this said, and even with its flaws, Naruto has basically become an empire, it being one of the legendary Big Three in Jump alongside One Piece and Bleach. It's a series tons of younger artists like Horikoshi and Hokazono say was one of their biggest inspirations for getting into manga, to become artists that now have pretty big series in Jump. All of this starting with a loud-ass ninja kid from a village hidden under the trees, a boy born with a demon inside himself that was hated by everyone, growing up into the man who would save the world over and over while trying to take on the concept of hate, and somehow, honestly, becoming probably one of my most favorite protagonists of all time in the process. And for this video, I'm kinda just wanting to talk about all of it. Naruto himself, my thoughts on the series, the characters, its place in the world of manga, the good and the bad. So just to kind of keep any structure to this, it's going to be broken into 3 major parts basically, starting with everything pre-time skip, then from the start of Shippuden to the end of Pain, and from there into the 4th Ninja War, the story's ending, and everything afterward. I got time codes for you, don't worry, I know this one's gonna be fucking long. And just out front, full spoiler warnings in this one. Like, it's a huge story and also it's Naruto, you know what it is even if you don't. Lastly, hit those dumbass YouTube buttons. I got a Patreon and all that as well. This fucking platform is dying and my puppy needs food. Look at him, he's starving. So any help is forever loved and appreciated. Konoha Gakure, or the village hidden in the leaves, is a town founded, ran by, and focused on raising ninja. The shinobi who creep in the dark and take out their enemies with deadly precision. The people who, according to history, could walk on water, clone themselves, breathe fire, all using the power of their ninjutsu. The world of Naruto being completely based around these concepts. The people able to use real-ass jutsu to perform ninja abilities, taking mercenary-style contracts from surrounding towns to make money, help the village, and train to be stronger. Konoha having a whole-ass Mount Rushmore for their Hokage, the top-tier ninja who have led the village over time and navigated their people in and out of multiple wars. The town spending these last 12 years recovering from a catastrophic event. Their village coming under attack by the legendary 9-tailed demon fox of legend. It nearly destroying the village before the 4th Hokage, the town's at the time leader, stopped the monster at the cost of his own life, sealing the demon away in a small, seemingly orphaned boy named Naruto Uzumaki, the former 3rd Hokage stepping back in to lead the village. And now, 12 years later, this kid has grown to become someone hated by Konoha, treated like dirt and forced into isolation by the other ninja. Kids his age told by their parents to ignore and avoid him because they were the ones who, 12 years back, lost friends, family, and almost the village itself to some monster this kid was walking around with in his soul or something. Naruto not even knowing about this. All he can assume is that Konoha hates him for being an orphan, having to raise himself and working not just to become a ninja great enough to show off how wrong everyone is about him, but to become the next Hokage, the leader of Konoha, to both protect and change this village, even if it's a place where he's been treated so badly. In the world of Naruto, ninja use the power of chakra to control their jutsu, this being the power system of the series, like nin or chi would be, it being channeled into 3 categories: ninjutsu, which is a chakra-based physical attack; genjutsu, which is using your chakra to create illusions that totally mess up someone's mind; and lastly, taijutsu, which is just your ability to beat the shit out of someone. And despite Naruto wanting to be a great ninja, he kinda sucks at all jutsu. Bro can't make a clone to save his life, let alone do any of the other wild ass techniques some of his classmates have. Minus the sexy harem jutsu, of course. This actually being a holdover from the original one-shot. Obviously, you know where this goes. He gets tricked, steals the classified scroll that tells you how to do the shadow clone jutsu, gives it to a traitor dipshit. His teacher Iruka saves him and is the first person in Naruto's entire life to show him any form of kindness. Naruto standing up to that traitor dipshit and summoning what seems to be hundreds of shadow clones. Something that, even if he was competent at ninjutsu, would still be impossible. Saving Iruka and becoming a full-fledged Genin ninja, earning both his Leaf Village headband and the clearance to join a ninja cell, being teamed up with 2 other classmates and a new sensei. The kids Sakura Haruno and Sasuke Uchiha formed into Team 7 under Kakashi Hatake. And it's from here where the story really gets going and where Naruto can show off what Kishimoto was able to do as an artist. Him still being a pretty young rookie at the time, but especially for early 2000s Jump, creating a series with battles that felt unlike its peers at the time, mixing an extremely fluid sense of flow in with some of the outright coolest fucking panels and attacks in Jump's entire history. So with the formation of Team 7, Kishimoto begins to expand on this world of ninja, the type of people in it, and how its history has created the era Naruto is growing up in. How despite these kids being, well, kids, they are sent on missions that, at times, get deadly. They clash with ninja from other villages, bandits and assassins. This just being normal here in the world of Shinobi. I imagine the Kage of each village is running their shit like Big Boss. Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura are part of a ninja cell, a team that accepts contracts to do work based on their team's combined strength. Their ranking determined by how well their skills are recognized in the field. Like I said, Naruto has now become a Genin, which may as well be an apprentice ninja, him learning under both Chunin and Jonin ninja, them being the next 2 ranks up. Chunin, as we'll absolutely talk about later, are the midway point between being a rookie ninja and a fully fledged shinobi, people that have been recognized by their higher-ups to have an expert level of skill, taking on riskier jobs and, sometimes on occasion, even leading their own teams, with the final level above them being Jonin, a 100% tried and true ninja that leads teams, runs important jobs throughout the villages, and overall serving as the main soldier force in combat. The big dick, cool ass heavy hitters that younger ninja can look up to. And while normal people do just live in the village, they don't really seem to matter, and the entire structure of Konoha is based around this shinobi ranking system, it all being led by the Hokage, someone whose skills have surpassed being a jonin, and was chosen to be a representative for the entire ninja world, not only by other ninja, but also the people of the village. The Hokage being like a wartime general, and the ninjas basically being the weapons that keep towns safe. The world and all of the people in it flowing along with the way of the shinobi. This is something that Kishimoto is going to expand much more on as we go. But even here at the start, with characters like Zabuza and Haku, it was clear that one of the driving factors in this plot was going to be how shinobi were, in a way, weapons. Tools to be hired and used for dirty work. Their lives almost just seen as expendable. Zabuza came from the Mist Village, a member of one of the legendary Seven Swordsmen of the Mist, who in order to earn that title had to slaughter his fellow classmates and be the last one standing. This Mist Village raising and training heartless ninja assassins to do violent jobs for cash. And yeah, Zabuza does some shitty things while he's around, but when the facade falls down and his true feelings come out after the death of Haku, Naruto sees for the first time how truly wrong this world of shinobi is. How Zabuza was born and raised to become the person he was, a tool to be used and discarded when done. And even if it was unintentional at the time, it was pretty much right here where Kishimoto would plant the seeds for the rest of the plot's main theme. Something we're gonna be talking about much more here in a bit. While also during this early arc is where he would establish the other main draw of Naruto. The thing that took his interesting plot ideas and ninja techniques to the next level and created a pretty much instantly large fan base. That being just how outright and effortlessly cool the series is in so many different ways. I said before that Naruto ran for 15 years, and with this being the first major series Kishimoto had drawn, it was obvious that the artwork was going to change over time, that his designs would reflect his artistic growth and all of that. But it's legit insane how even back here in these first volumes, he was already able to draw shots that just oozed a certain raw energy of the early 2000s. The way he can make a character lower his eyes in anger while still looking up at an enemy, warping the perspective of shots to make attack scene fluid or characters feel intimidating. Kakashi in general, let's not act like Kakashi isn't the main progenitor of like nearly every cool, aloof sensei character since the 2000s. You do not get Gojo without Kakashi. I still think about that part where Sasuke's being all edgy and says, "What if I killed your loved one?" And Kakashi just goes, "Yeah bro, that ain't gonna work. They've literally all already been killed." Bro was so endlessly cool. And while Kishimoto kept drawing these shots that went on to become legitimately iconic, he was creating a lot of them mid-battle with a level of motion and flow that I know people might get mad at me for saying, but I totally think he was, at times, on the same level as DBZ era Toriyama. Like the panel-to-panel taijutsu clashes, the quick shots of hand symbols to launch a ninjutsu attack, The big double spread triple angle shots he loves to do throughout the entire series. Like, as much as I adore other manga that were running at that same time in Jump, I've already made videos about the other two of the big three, and it just totally stands alone at the top of the game for me. One thing that unfortunately does get less common as the series hit its later volumes is how amazing the scenery he can create for this world is, both in the huge double spreads of things like Konoha or the Final Valley, but also how the characters realistically move around in them. Like, I love seeing ninja bounce through the treetops to fight, or on the village rooftops in urban combat. Kishi remembering to use that environment to his advantage in some fights, like during the Chunin exams. Naruto blasting through a hole in the ground to attack Kiba, with Shikamaru later on using that hole to run his shadow possession through in secret to trick Temari. Or even on the hospital rooftop, when Naruto and Sasuke launch their dual Rasen Chidoris in front of the water towers that Kakashi throws their dumbasses into, and how each of the separate water towers' destruction from their individual attacks was different and made Sasuke feel inferior. And just the little things like that go on to add so much reality to this world. That being something modern artists, again, like Horikoshi and Hokuzono, have specifically said influence their series, remembering to make sure to let the world that their manga takes place in be a consistent and important thing. Of course, by this point in the story, we had been introduced to Sasuke and Sakura, the other two Team 7 members who added some extra dynamics to the world of ninja outside of Naruto's orphan demon fox childhood. To mixed results. Sakura is a character I plan to talk about much more later, but for now at the start of the story, she definitely takes a backseat to the mainline ninja plot, and instead adds both comic relief and a level of stakes for Naruto and Sasuke, always having to make sure they protect her, being in love with Sasuke and hating Naruto, while Naruto, of course, has a huge crush on her and Sasuke couldn't give a fuck less. This kind of really being her only place in the plot at first, while she continually swoons over Sasuke and gets annoyed at Naruto for being an orphan. Her character arc and Kishimoto's struggles with it being something that is, well, we're gonna talk about all that later. And of course, you can't forget about the second protagonist, the king of the edge himself, the basis for so many things post 2001, the always brooding Sasuke Uchiha, the only surviving member of the legendary Uchiha clan. His intro into the story being a combo of him saying he wants to grow strong enough to kill a certain person one day, and also Naruto falling into him and their lips smacking, being each other's first kiss, a sign of things to come. Where Naruto is the loud dumbass who sucks at being a ninja but still tries really hard at it, Sasuke is the one where it all just comes naturally. He's born from a powerful clan, and his jutsu power is solid right off the bat, him being at the top of his class and basically the exact opposite of someone like Naruto. A born prodigy from a special family compared to a goof-ass orphan who can't do ninja shit at all. This first arc where the team has to deal with Zabuza being a way to show both Naruto's determination when training with Sasuke and how fast he really can progress. Sasuke having natural talent but having to step up his game to make sure Naruto doesn't get ahead. Now, I'ma press the pause button real quick, because if you're a Naruto fan who's been online for a while, you probably keep hearing me say these words, natural talent and hard work, and might be thinking, oh no, is he going to make that complaint? And no, that is not the case. Not even trying to call out someone else's takes on the series, but it's kind of a meme online that people say hard work beats natural talent was the true point of Naruto until it became shonen slop. Just look at Rock Lee! And I think that's just wrong, like outright from arc 1. This shit literally ends with Sasuke unlocking his Sharingan and Naruto going Fox Chakra mode. Both things that have nothing to do with hard work. So don't think I'ma make that complaint because I totally disagree with it. Real missing the forest for the trees type shit. And instead, it's a 180 because I love these two power explosions for both Naruto and Sasuke each. Sasuke is from the Uchiha, them having a famous bloodline technique known as the Sharingan. Their eyes turning a deep red and black circular lines appearing in the iris, letting them basically see the future in a way, giving an Uchiha amazing analytical skills and basically being able to predict their enemy's next move, while also just base boosting their jutsu power at the cost of using more chakra. Sasuke's finally awakening when he goes out of his way to save Naruto, a trend that will continue throughout the series. One thing I've said over and over on here is I fucking love eye designs in manga or anime. Be it something like Aqua and Ruby and Oshi no Ko, or any one of Atsushi Okubo's many examples of over-the-top and unconventional iris designs. Like, all of this is my shit. And I feel like one of the granddaddies of this entire trope is the Sharingan. That circular wheel going around the iris growing more notches as an Uchiha awakens more to their power. Every one of them has the potential to go a step further and unlock a Mangekyo Sharingan, it having a unique ability and eye design separate to any others in the clan. And all of them looking cool as shit. I wouldn't get them tattooed on my arm if I thought otherwise. And of course, don't forget about Kakashi, having that headband tucked down across his forehead over the left eye, lifting it up to reveal that even though he is not an Uchiha, he somehow got a Sharingan of his own. I wonder what's up with that. As the story goes on, it's obvious that these ocular powers ended up becoming something the plot would lean into a lot. The many eyes of the Uchiha and their legitimately insane powers. But no matter what they might go on to be used for, and if they may be overused in general, they never stop looking cool as hell, and you cannot make me dislike them for any reason. But with all of that said, on the other side with Naruto himself, he ain't got any bloodline abilities, well, at first. All he's got are the skills he's trained himself to have. Skills that are nowhere near good enough to deal with these higher level ninja attacks, with his power coming from somewhere else. The spirit of that nine-tailed fox locked in his soul. Naruto's chakra rising and his power exploding to insane amounts. His speed, strength, and anger going out of control. Using that fox power to go feral on someone's ass and shred them up with a combo of pure strength and dope-ass jutsu. These two types of powers becoming a baseline for what the series was going to do with both Naruto and Sasuke, how their powers would develop and what each of them would do to get there. But as both of these explosions against Zabuza and Haku were wrapping up, the team winning their battle and returning to the Leaf Village, the status of Naruto as a series was starting to take hold in Japan. It immediately selling well within its first few volumes, the story launching straight into the Chunin exams, the Konoha Crush, and Naruto's first meetings with both Jiraiya and Orochimaru. Sales increasing with each new volume, and in 2002, Studio Pierrot released the first episodes of the Naruto anime. And while we're gonna talk more about the plot and shit here in a second, I'd be stupid not to mention here how important this anime ended up being for Naruto, both for the manga itself and for how it was going to be perceived across the world, for better or worse. So like I had already said, the Naruto anime is what got me here in the first place. That box art from earlier starting my curiosity, but after actually sitting down to watch the show itself, I hate to sound like a fucking lame-ass old man, but they don't make them like they used to. The series, both Naruto and Shippuden, were created by Studio Pierrot, largely directed by a dude named Hayato Date for the entire series run, featuring tons of animators, writers, assistant directors, whole casts and crew over the 220 episodes of Naruto and 500 episodes of Shippuden. I've said before, I'm not the guy to come to when you want to know about specific animators and shit like that. I'm a manga guy first, and anime is just a really nice bonus for me. But I can still obviously appreciate the talent and work that was being put into the series. It was a long-running weekly shonen anime that rarely ever took breaks, so of course it couldn't be perfect. There's a huge chunks of filler that range from fine to god-awful. There was some fights that got laughably bad treatments, and the amount of flashbacks mid-episode to things that could have just been in the last episodes, having already flashbacked over 7 times in the last 3 episodes in general, all just to pad out runtime, was evil. But if you just scoot all that aside, I legitimately have nothing but pure love for Naruto's anime. Largely the original and Shippuden to a slightly lesser extent. Outside of the obvious long list of amazing fights in both series, that OST dude, come on! My man Toshi Masuda out here dropping Strong and Strike, the main theme, rising fighting spirit, sadness and sorrow, come on, do. It's one of the best OSTs ever created for an anime, right up there with shit like Trigun and Hellsing. The use of hand signs in the manga was already cool as hell. Shinobi slamming their hands together in different ways to activate their jutsu. And the anime had kids running around with their arms behind their backs and throwing fucked up ass gang signs at each other because it was so cool. Like that pop 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 noise is ingrained in my DNA. When I first started the anime back in like 2014, it was actually the first long-running shonen I had sat down to watch from start to finish. The closest things before being Dragon Ball as a kid, JoJo, which was seasonal from the beginning, and Hunter x Hunter, which even though it was a longer running shonen series, Hunter x Hunter's anime is in a very different ballgame when compared to Naruto's. But even with all of these differences, I just got swept up in it. The weekly long-running anime format is dying out, it seems like. Most of those series like Naruto or Fairy Tail have already ended. One Piece is moving to seasonal now, and Bleach Blood War still hasn't even finished airing as of this video. And thinking about it, Black Clover and Boruto felt like the last of the newer long runners, and both of them have ended for now as well. So going back to the original Naruto for some people who have only experienced the 12 to 24 episode season format, I do totally understand not really wanting to commit for 200 to 500 to 1000 plus episodes of a show. You can't really expect everyone to watch One Piece. But for me, someone that was like 19 and in a really bad spot in his life at the time, those long ass series were the things that saved me. And I ain't even joking around, dude. I did a little One Piece video a while back where I talked about how bad shit got around 2014 to 15 for me. One of those things where living gets really hard to do for a minute there. And it was because I could absorb myself into those big ass shows like One Piece and Naruto that I was able to disassociate from how shitty my life was. Just escaping to someone else's world for hours of a day. So even if it is better for the industry as a whole to retire that non-stop weekly format, I'll still always defend these big ass series because of it. Both the good parts and the bad ones. Naruto being the thing that kicked it all off for me. What's funny though is that despite it being like this for me in 2014, it had already been that awakening for so many others here in the US, going back to the mid-2000s and still into today. That anime becoming the fucking blueprint for so many kids. The Linkin Park AMVs, old ass videos like Real Ninjas, the Narusasu fans as we will cover later, and motherfucking Sasuke the Hedgehog himself. So many kids wanted to basically be him. Like when you think about it, Naruto was, even more so than One Piece and Bleach at the time, one of the most popular series here in America. TV, anime, cartoon, series in general. It being as important to some kids as Dragon Ball Z was to the ones before them. Like this shit aired on Disney XD, which is insane to me. Did they show Hidan getting his head chopped off? What about when Gaara exploded that one dude? Wild times, man. I plan to talk more about the anime specifically a bit later, but as the manga was entering its 20th or so volume while the anime was already doing numbers on TV, the story and art of Naruto itself had begun to progress fast. Both the plot and world of the series expanding as other villages were introduced, along with new friends and new enemies. One of the both biggest strengths and unfortunate weaknesses of Naruto is Kishimoto's ability to create cast members that legitimately whip ass. Characters with powers and designs that draw you in and really make you want to know more about them. A lot of them having just as enjoyable personalities to back those designs up. During the Chunin exams arc where Team 7 is being tested on a potential rank raise, Kishimoto uses it as an opportunity to introduce the other Genin teams of Konoha, along with their badass Jonin leaders. And it's around here where you can really start to see both Kishimoto's extremely fun character writing mixing together with a sense of what just looks cool as hell. Bringing in Shikamaru, Rock Lee, Choji, Neji, Kiba, Hinata, Ino, and also Tintin and Shino, along with their sensei like Asuma, Guy, Kurenai, the badass older ninja of the village. These exams basically just having a bunch of ways to show off all kinds of super cool new ninja powers. Shikamaru's shadow possession, Kiba's fusion with Akamaru, his ninja dog, to do Fang over Fang, Neiji's Byakugan and his triagram palm strikes on your body's chakra points, Kankuro's crazy puppet bullshit, and Gaara's living sand. And yeah, some of these might not be the most original powers in concept, but Kishimoto ties them into the world's shinobi rules in such a fun way that it still makes all of these feel so cool, usually finding an interesting and realistic way to use it in battle. These still all being fights between ninjas, so despite how strong they might be, how they use these abilities to their tactical advantages can sometimes matter way more than just hitting a dude really hard. Shikamaru's the fucking poster child for that. He doesn't want to do shit, but he can win no matter what. And the reason I called this an unfortunate weakness earlier is because despite me actually liking almost every character in this story in some way, Kishimoto just kinda leaves most of them out of the story as it goes on. Some much more than others. This literally becoming one of the biggest memes about Naruto when you're talking about characters like Shino or Tintin, who basically just don't exist. Yeah, some of them do shine pretty consistently. Ina Shikacho with Shikamaru, Choji, and a little bit of a lesser extent Ino. And also Lee and Neji. But once part 2/Shippuden starts, the overall cast of Konoha really takes a backseat in the plot. Naruto's level of jutsu now just totally eclipsing all of them. And man, that sucks because these kids are cool as shit. Like, if you think about it, the whole point of the Chunin exams was largely to show off all of these assorted ninja tricks and tactics to come out ahead on the tests. How important being a ninja was and how each of these kids had their own way of becoming shinobi. It all culminating with one-on-one tournaments that still get talked about to this day. Like, if you need some easy Twitter engagement and you just post Lee dropping the weights and say, "This was generational," bam, 500k likes, a billion retweets. So it was pretty easy for us as fans to get attached to these characters. But unfortunately, Kishimoto had other ideas for what he was going to do next in the plot. A lot of those characters not really having a role to fill once it got going. Because even though the Chunin exams had been a big thing of just showing off cool ninja and what they could do to fight, its other main purpose was to set up some major plot points that would continue on from earlier. One being Sasuke getting the curse mark from Orochimaru in the forest, it increasing his power and letting him gain the strength he needs to kill that certain someone at the cost of his own body's health. Something Sasuke is more than willing to risk if it means growing stronger. Orochimaru facing off against the third Hokage and both using the reanimation jutsu to bring back the possessed first and second Hokage to fight the third, a thing that will set up a controversial path for the series to follow eventually, while also getting his arms totally paralyzed, meaning that he can no longer weave signs for jutsu. That basically meaning your ninja life is over. While out in the forest surrounding the village, Naruto has been facing off with Gaara, someone that was a mirror of Naruto, a kid also born with a demon in his body and now hated by the village he lived in. A mirror that showed how if Naruto didn't have his friends, if he didn't have Iruka, Jiraiya, and Kakashi, a support system in his life, he could have become someone just like Gaara. And how Naruto as a ninja that wants to be Hokage should confront something like that. The pain of the past that's created a fucked up present. and what he, as someone wanting to be Hokage, would do if it should start to tear apart the only person he could truly consider a friend, Sasuke. When it comes to the overall plot of Naruto, the themes Kishimoto wanted to touch on and the story beats he wants to cover, they're pretty obvious from the first few volumes into the series, with everything between volumes like 20 to 27 really just spelling them out for you. Naruto and Sasuke are rivals. They're two kids who compared their own skills to each other. Sasuke naturally being so much more competent than Naruto, but still seeing him get closer and closer to his level, beating enemies that he himself wasn't able to, being recognized by other ninja as much as Sasuke was, gaining that curse mark power, but it's still not being enough to match up with Naruto's combo of tenacity and nine-tailed chakra. And after all of the shit talk Sasuke and Gaara threw at each other, how their fight was one of the most anticipated for the Chunin exams, they were selling WWE pay-per-view tickets to that shit. Naruto was the one that took him down, with Sasuke unable to do it on his own. And now, while he's still recovering from that defeat, when the person he wants to kill, his brother Itachi, who seemingly slaughtered the entire Uchiha clan in a single night, comes back to the Leaf Village looking for Naruto and not Sasuke, he kinda just breaks. He takes his growing anger of feeling inferior out on Naruto, disrespecting him and trying to prove that he's a better ninja than his teammate, that the rival he's had isn't even worthy of being called a shinobi like Sasuke is. This being the fight that starts the true path these two would walk on from here. Naruto still wanting to be recognized by Sasuke and trying so hard just to knock some sense into him, while Sasuke walks down an edgy path of revenge and darkness, a path laid out for him by the hatred that came before his time, and was now forming his future, joining Orochimaru and leaving Konoha behind. The Sasuke retrieval mission being the final big arc before the coming Shippuden time skip. Naruto teaming up with Shikamaru, Choji, Neji, and Kiba to track down Sasuke and the Sound 4 ninja who have taken him to Orochimaru. And for what it's worth overall, this mission is still fantastic. We've seen these kids and how they fought in a tournament when it was still a friendly competition. Sure, they had to get a little violent, beat the hell out of each other, but it was still a test. Now, they're chasing rival shinobi down who have kidnapped their willing-to-be-kidnapped friend, knowing that if they fail, he may be gone forever, and so these battles will likely end in deaths for one side. The level of actual bloody combat the Leaf Kids get into from here just being wild to see. I still think about Neji just getting pierced with tons of arrows so he can predict the exact point where they're coming from. God, I love Neji, he is so cool. I hope his place in the story doesn't go on to make me mad. Looking back now at the Sound 4 themselves, they're fine. Jirobo and Kidomaru are whatever. I got no feelings towards them really, even if the stuff for both Choji and Neji as characters each is really good. But Tayuya dealing with Shikamaru's always scheming ass is actually great. And as someone who has always been down with the Shikamaru Tamari ship, her showing up to save him and giving that little smile, yeah, that's the good shit. See, Kishimoto knows how to write relationships when he wants to, and even if Sakon and Ukon are goofy, I always wanted Kiba and Akamaru to get more stuff. I love the fact that he just runs around with a puppy and uses him like a real ass tool, and the puppy is good as shit. Akamaru rules. So I do love their fight for survival until Kankuro can show up and save them, putting motherfucker in the goddamn Iron Maiden and stabbing him through. And of course, you got the Boner Lord himself, Kimimaro, Orochimaru's favorite tool, who forces the bones out of his body to use as weapons, combined with him having some legitimately fantastic taijutsu skills, fighting against Naruto, Rock Lee after he gets drunk, and eventually Gaara, with each one of these back-to-back-to-back fights being cool in their own ways. Shout out Drunk Lee, that deserves so much more time to shine, and also so did Lee in general after this moment. But even if his fight gets cut short, it's still cool to see the return of Gaara. Him now able to be a normal person without making some reference to killing everyone around him or some shit. The after effects of Naruto headbutting some sense into his wild ass. I do think it's a little silly how obvious it was that both Choji and Neji died in their fights, but Kishimoto and his editor probably just went, nah, and they made it out instead. Like, this butterfly signifies death. You can't fool me, fucko. But, it's a shonen manga, is what it is. The real point, though, of both this arc and the 27 volumes up to this point is this major fight between Naruto and Sasuke at Final Valley, the place where first Hokage Hashirama Senju and his eternal rival Madara Uchiha fought their final battle. It's still to this day being one of the best fights I've both read in a manga and watched in an anime, hands down, period. Sure, you can go, well, this show has better animation, or, well, this fight hit me harder because, yeah, that's cool, that's fine, whatever. But this battle succeeds on a level far beyond just being drawn well or animated good, in my opinion, because it does feel like, in one way or another, that these last 200 plus chapters or 100 plus episodes have been building up to this moment. Everything has been paced to get our two leads here standing across from each other. The sadness Naruto feels watching his closest friend collapse under the weight of his clan's death. The uneven feelings of jealousy and anger Sasuke has towards both Naruto and, more so, his older brother Itachi. It's all been building up to this point, and now is exploding in one of the most visually insane fights of the series. Naruto's nine-tailed power flowing out in a way it never has before, fighting with a demon-like rage and explosive orange chakra. Sasuke both embracing the curse mark's power after he got locked in that barrel, and awakening his true Sharingan, turning into a powered-up form that I think is ugly as hell. I can't lie, I hate these stupid-ass winged hands. Very glad it does not last long in the series. The two beating the piss out of each other and blasting their Rasen Chidoris into a clash, making that weird cool-ass technical orb effect. I love this. I don't care if it's never explained why it looks like that. This is so cool looking. The two, meeting in the weird negative space it creates and having a final heart-to-heart. The smoke clearing with only Sasuke left standing. Well, barely standing. Him leaving the village and Naruto behind in pursuit of more power. Slashing the logo on his Konoha Ginen headband and tossing it aside. This being his way of cutting the bonds he had towards both the Leaf Village and Naruto himself specifically. The Sasuke retrieval mission basically being a failure. Naruto having to get over the loss and walk in over the next 2 years. training with Jiraiya and learning how he can control and use his nine-tailed chakra, while Sasuke is trained and molded by Orochimaru to become his next host body. The story going into its time skip and starting what you would call part 2 of the series. But before we keep moving, I got a few thoughts on the lead up to this point and the small break the story would now take to show off the backstory of a certain fan favorite character, us seeing the childhood days of Kakashi, officially introducing the 4th Hokage Minato Namikaze, and lastly, the one and only Uchiha kid himself, Obito. At this point in the story, it's pretty obvious that Kishimoto, at least to some extent, had begun to plan out the major plot beats for the rest of the manga, even if the story would take a few detours on the road there. When you look back at the first 28 or so volumes, there were, for sure, small seeds that had begun to grow with Naruto, Sasuke, Orochimaru, the Nine Tails, a lot of the major and minor characters who had been entering the story. But the moment where I think things take their first really big shift is when Itachi and Kisame show up at random in Konoha, introducing the Akatsuki as an enemy faction that's a threat to the village and telling us that for some reason they want Naruto. Obviously because of the nine-tailed fox sealed inside of his soul. Now, at first hearing this intro, did Kishimoto maybe not even know why the Akatsuki wanted nine tails? Sure, that's possible. I mean, if you consider that the rest of their plan is actually to capture all tailed beasts from numbers 1 through 9, Gaara's Sand Spirit Shukaku actually being the one tail, Naruto of course having the 9 tails, it makes you look back on how the story talked about Naruto and Nine Tails, Gaara and Shukaku, their history and role in the village, and think, well, that seems different. Shit, there was no mention of other tailed beasts before, but now, retroactively, Gaara had one and everyone knew exactly what that was. And now starting with Kakashi Gaiden, we are conveniently introduced to Obito, giving him a whole ass backstory and connection with Kakashi right before Toby would show up, showing how these kids fought together in Ninja World War III as child soldiers. A thing that has honestly been common in this world of Shinobi forever. And that while on an important mission, Obito was crushed by a gigantic rock during battle, using his final breaths to give his left eye to Kakashi, it being the permanently activated Sharingan he keeps hidden away under that headband. The story resuming and introducing Toby shortly after, him actually not being around on page too much before he's then revealed to be Madara Uchiha, wink wink, complete with a right eye Sharingan, the opposite of a left eye Sharingan. So for what it's worth and how silly it sounds when you say it all out loud, I do think Kishimoto did have large chunks of the plot formed in his mind here. Like, he knew the tailed beasts would be the focus of Akatsuki, and that Madara / Obito would be the main villain. Even if at first, he himself might not have even known the reasons why they wanted those beasts. I personally don't think the Tsukiyomi was always gonna be the plan. The story ending, of course, with Naruto and Sasuke having their big final showdown. And even if the story from this point forward does just conveniently introduce new lore details to make the story work in Kishi's favor, I don't really mind it, to be honest. It's not that bad when it's a small revision or update here and there. Stories change in the creators' heads as they go, and they're allowed to shift gears when they want. We all know that loads of DBZ was literally Toriyama just shooting from the hip but still somehow hitting the targets over and over. The thing is, as it goes on and more story gets conveniently added or changed around, this becomes a lot harder to ignore. The manga starting its second part with volume 29 and the original anime actually still just going for a while. Around this time in the anime's progression, the Naruto and Sasuke fight ending around episode like 130, it still would keep running weekly for another 100 episodes of pure, uncut, old-fashioned filler. Studio Pierrot just letting the manga stack up chapters while they spun the wheel of random stories to write for the cast during this time when Sasuke was out of the picture. To go back to my earlier complaint about Kishimoto not using tons of cast members as the manga went on, I can give these filler arcs and honestly the whole anime itself credit for giving those characters a lot more screen time. Like, you want to see Kiba do something? Guess what? They got you. You want to see Tintin actually matter for an episode? It's there. It might not be something good or well written, but it exists. While everyone's opinions on this is mixed and mine are too, one thing it matters a lot for is Hinata. Going back from start to end, knowing that Kishimoto apparently always wanted Naruto to get with Hinata is really goofy because you kinda see how little they actually interact in the manga, while in the anime during moments where it's obviously padding out runtime, they at least let characters like Hinata be around Naruto so she can have her crush on him in front of us, the audience. And that's pretty nice when you consider where this relationship goes, but we'll cover that more a little bit later. All of that said, and now entering the second part of the series, which actually makes up more than half of the manga, Kishimoto starts the long, winding road to that destined final battle between Naruto and Sasuke, strapping us in for the absolute roller coaster of a ride he would take to get there. One of the coolest things you can do in just about any manga or anime is throw in a time skip. Like, outside of it being an excuse to blast the plot forward, it's also a good way for an artist to take their cast and redesign them in a way that meshes more with their current style. And when it comes to Naruto's time skip and how it affects both the cast and the story, I think overall it was the smart move. Kishimoto has said throughout the series' run that even with a full team of assistants, he was constantly pushing against his weekly deadlines, and in turn, obviously had to trim down on the designs a bit, removing some accessories and overall general uniqueness to have a more uniform style between the cast. Like, going all the way back, Naruto losing his goggles after the first chapter was because they were annoying to draw, he said it himself. So this was something that had been done in the series from minute one. And this isn't to criticize the new designs. Overall, I do really like them, even if the outfits are a lot plainer than they used to be. And it makes me wonder if he was making the conscious choice to trim those flourishes down so the chapters could get out. During this 2-year period in the story, Naruto has spent his time training with Jiraiya, working to both get a better handle on his nine-tailed powers and to focus on perfecting his own jutsu. His Kamehameha, his Gum Gum Punch, the one and only Rasengan, a spinning ball of pure chakra that was passed down to him from the 4th Hokage, who was also now just obviously Naruto's dad. Like, I do feel it was always gonna be that way. Going back to the start, Minato had always been connected to Naruto in one way or another, and even if the story was still trying to be all secretive about it, this was one of the most obvious plot twists you could have predicted other than possibly who Toby really is. Naruto having to step his game up so he can defend himself from the coming Akatsuki attacks to steal his tailed beast. with the first few volumes post-time skip having him travel to the Sand Village and fighting both Sasori and Deidara, rescuing Gaara and literally bringing him back to life, meeting Sai and him joining Team 7 as Sasuke's replacement, and of course the big culmination of this first part of the time skip, having a big meetup with Kabuto, Orochimaru, and the newly powered up time skip Sasuke, letting us see just how far those nine-tailed powers inside Naruto had truly been progressing, for better or worse. Looking back at these first few major arcs post-time skip as like a huge chunk, I still think that, regardless of the new lore updates with the tailed beasts, the story itself is still holding strong and the pacing of the plot is super smooth. We see how Gaara was able to overcome the demon trapped inside to become the Sand Village's next Kazekage, being both a loving and protecting leader to a town that spent the last 16 years trying to kill him. How Sakura had trained under Tsunade so she could keep up with Naruto and Sasuke's overly powerful asses, not just becoming a well-trained medical ninja, but also a super strong beast whose punches can destroy mountains. How all the other Konoha kids retook the Chunin exams while Naruto was off training, them passing and meaning that he's the only Genin left from his class. That actually staying something that gets referenced for the rest of the series. Bro's not even a Chunin when he becomes a god later on. And tying all of this together, I really enjoy the subtle but enjoyable changes to Naruto himself. I had said earlier that Naruto was one of my most favorite protagonists, up there with people like Luffy, Goku, Yo, Vash the Stampede. Like, he's absolutely on my Mount Rushmore, or Mount Hokage, I guess. And it's something that did start early on for me, but was solidified during these next few arcs. Naruto is, of course, a loudmouth, hot-headed shonen protagonist. Like, he's as tropey as they come. He never gives up. He's the eternal good guy with a power source that lets him get stronger when it's convenient, all built on top of a tragic backstory full of sadness that doesn't keep him down. And yeah, sure, you could say that Naruto really helped popularize these tropes over the next few years because so many shonen series took inspiration from it, but what still makes Naruto so endearing to me is how Kishimoto conveys those traits through his art. How he can take those tropes and draw them in a way that shows, even with those bad memories of his past, Naruto still stands so strong for his ninja way, the beliefs he's willing to die for, that it's just so infectious. Like, it's hard to describe because, yeah, this is a basic shonen trait. It's something that protagonists have had forever in manga. And maybe it's just me, but it's almost like Naruto has this pureness to his actions that a lot of protagonists with these similar traits just don't have. Things that remind me of Luffy in Arlong Park, or punching the shit out of that celestial dragon on Shabandi, or Yo Asakura taking the non-stop bad things that come his way in Shaman King with a smile, that it'll all work out attitude. Like, I know there's gonna be people that disagree because it's Naruto, but for what it's worth, I can feel Kishimoto coming through Naruto himself at those times, like I can with Oda and Luffy or Takei and Yo. It takes moments that could be standard by all means and elevates them to a level that has always stuck with me. And as the story goes on from here after Naruto and Sasuke's first big meeting post-time skip, even if parts are going to get a little shaky here and there, I really think Naruto himself only gets better as a character, something I'm gonna keep talking about as we go. And also, I want to just throw this in here too because it's kind of the last chance in the script. Orochimaru has just been an odd character. Well, yeah, duh. But he was also kind of built up to be a major antagonist for Naruto in a few different ways. Between Sasuke, his history with Jiraiya, and killing the third Hokage, Bro's presence in the story has been non-stop for a while now. But soon after the time skip, Sasuke just kills him, reappearing once as a snake man inside Sasuke's body that Itachi rips out and kills again, until later on when Sasuke just brings him back again. Him going, "Don't worry, I'm chill now." And that kind of being the end of his story. Something that gets weirder when we get to Boruto later. I don't really mind his role being replaced by the Akatsuki and Tobito. Kishimoto obviously wanted the plot to be about this. But for the first major series antagonist, it's just an odd way to wrap it up. Like, this motherfucker had absolutely slithered his way to Ninja Epstein Island, and the resolution of it all was, it's fine. Okay. There is one more major change to the story here. A plot point that would go on to keep growing over the series, not only in the coming events, but also stretching back into the history of Konoha, taking the Anbu Black Ops we had seen earlier and making them all part of the village's hidden shadow government, the ninja of the ninja who do the dirtiest work for Konoha, a group called the Foundation, introducing their leader Danzo and his agent Sai. Danzo himself being responsible for like almost every major bad thing Konoha as a village had ever done, and in a way, kind of absolving the third Hokage and Konoha as a whole for some upcoming plot revelations. A character I've not talked much about yet at this point would be the fifth Hokage, Tsunade. Her taking over the role after the third was killed during Orochimaru's attack on Konoha, with her, Jiraiya, and Orochimaru being referred to as the Great Sannin, the three top ninja of Konoha who were famous during the Third Great Ninja War, before, of course, Orochimaru got caught going full evil mode and betrayed the village. Jiraiya also taking off to wander the world while writing books and banging hookers, leaving Tsunade all these years later as the best candidate for Hokage. Now, outside of it being obvious with this color page Kishimoto drew early on, but the Sannin are to be compared to Team 7, each of the three kids training under one of the Sannin and basically being their next generation apprentices, having the loud happy-go-lucky Naruto-like, the edgy brooding Sasuke type, and of course, girl, a theme Kishimoto will keep on using throughout the whole series. And now, after this time skip, we are introduced to Danzo, the shadow of the Hokage. So, the shadow of a shadow, I guess. Him loudly wanting to take the position from Tsunade and becoming the official 6th Hokage. A thing he's wanted going back to before the third Hokage was even selected. Bro's been brooding in the background this whole time, forming the Foundation and using his Black Ops members to carry out secret, near-evil jobs on his behalf to gain power and influence across Konoha, sending the emotionless tool Sai to spy on Team 7 while also pulling off a secret mission to kill Sasuke, which you definitely know he's gonna be able to do. Now, while this is a whole new aspect to the village just totally added in out of left field, I don't think it's a bad thing for someone like Danzo to exist in the story. If you really just step back and think about it, from what we can see as readers, Konoha kinda sucks shit. It's a place that raises kids to be weapons for starters. And all the stories you hear about its past are awful wartime tragedies where the good people came out losing. Like the story of Kakashi's dad, who was a famous hero of Konoha that chose to save his comrades on a mission, failing that job but keeping them alive, got him shamed by the whole town so hard, he killed himself for it and left Kakashi as an orphan. Like, it's some wildly crazy shit these ninja be doing. And when you grab the microscope to focus down on Naruto himself, the orphan kid who was relentlessly bullied by adults in the village, while a lot of them knew the truth of that night 12 years prior, just stood by and watched, leaving bro to swing on that sad ass swing for episodes at a time. And with the intro of Danzo and the foundation, I think this was Kishimoto looking at all of this and starting to try and absolve these things in some way. Outright stating that a lot of the darker shit we knew about Konoha in the plot came from him, while the third Hokage always objected to it and was just such a good guy. Before we move on though, shout out Sai, what an unfortunate character. He's the only Konoha kid to get introduced post-Chunin exams, and he's got a really cool power. I actually love the way the beast mimicry style looks on page, it's so pretty. But after these first few volumes post-time skip, once Kishimoto wraps up his personal story, he kind of wraps him up completely in the story. Like, he shows up once or twice here and there, but he never becomes the next member of Team 7 he was made to be. And while I don't really have many thoughts on Sai himself since he barely exists, it's just yet another case of those side characters who have the potential to be so cool, never getting that shine they deserve. The next major chunk of chapters, going from the Akatsuki suppression arc and into the full-on Pain saga, is largely about just showing off more of the Akatsuki as a group. Having already met Itachi and Kisame a while back, followed later by Deidara and Sasori and Zetsu too technically, we now meet Hidan, Kakuzu, Conan, and the assumed leader himself, Pain, with those swirly purple eyes and face full of metal rods. Tobito standing behind them all as the shadow bad guy, Akatsuki's true leader. The members taking down and capturing tailed beasts from their owners, or Jinchuriki as they're called. Ninja who were forced to carry those monsters in their souls like Naruto or Gaara. Characters that, unfortunately, Kishimoto never really decided to show off in any meaningful way. The anime gives some of them episodes to be a part of, with Utakata and the Six Tails actually getting a little filler arc, and Fu joining the flashback arc for the Chunin exams that happened during the time skip. So there's that, I guess, but if you consider how important the tailed beasts had themselves become in the plot and would continue to be down the line, I think this was a pretty huge misstep on Kishi's part. They were the other characters that could relate to Naruto in any specific way like Gaara could. Like, we would assume they have unique powers like Gaara's sand or Naruto's orange chakra. We do get my fucking dude Killer B out of it, and I love Octopops, he's my goat. But him being so cool makes me look at those other Jinchuriki and get upset because they could have been cool too. I guess we'll just never know. Naruto also around this time has another big training arc that, in context itself, I don't really have anything to say about. But I do think it's hilarious how Kakashi goes, yeah man, you can actually just make a shadow clone of yourself and train, but that uses a lot of chakra, which you technically have infinite amounts of because of Nine Tails. So Naruto's big training arc just being him making a bunch of clones until he figures out how to do jutsu better. And that's so goofy that I kind of love it. Like, it's honestly a very Naruto core way of skirting around the rules. Even if it is just as silly as Jiraiya earlier going, did you know that the swirl of your hair affects the swirl of your chakra? Something Kishimoto never brought back up again. You remember that? What the hell was that about? I did say earlier that some of the side casts in Naruto gets much more time to shine than others, and this arc doubles down on letting those specific ones get screen time. Asuma, Shikamaru, Choji, and Ino taking on the freak-ass hitmen of Hidan and Kakuzu. Hidan using his voodoo jutsu to straight up kill Asuma, one of the few sensei characters other than Kakashi or Guy that got consistent story moments. Shikamaru using that big ass brain and ninja instincts to trap Hidan in a pit of bombs and blow his ass into a forever grave. Still possibly one of the coolest executions in the whole series to this day. Shikamaru grabbing Asuma's smokes and lighting up that cigarette. Asuma's ghost appearing and him also lighting the ghost blunt as he seals that dude into eternity. This is some good shit, man. Shout out to Viz for censoring this whole part. Just not even showing the cigarette in Shikamaru's hand since he's underaged, I guess. Making it look awkward as shit for no good reason and removing like 50% of the aura he has. But to cut around the tons of fights and small plot reveals that go down in these next few volumes, I think the real point of both the death of Asuma and the coming battle between Jiraiya and the Six Paths of Pain, Naruto's master also losing his life, was to further set up the growing thesis statement Naruto had been building way back since Zabuza at the start. And that was the combined idea of ninja being seen as nothing but tools for war, and how those wars of the past were still causing so much generational hatred in the current era, leaving characters like Shikamaru and Naruto to carry on a torch lit by their masters to try and fix this world in new ways, to become that light for the next generation. This scene of Naruto still grieving after Jiraiya's death and Shikamaru reminding him that they gotta keep their heads up and look forward, because one day they will be the ones buying their students ramen like Asuma and Jiraiya had for them. And I think this is just so good, man. Kishimoto might not always be able to stick his big plot moments, but I'll always defend that he knows how to write these characters in a way that will forever compel me, all while doubling down on those themes of taking that past of loss and working with it to make a better future for the next generation. Especially when you learn that during the big battle in the Rain Village between Jiraiya and Pain, that Pain himself, or at least one of them, was a kid Jiraiya had trained in the past during that last big ninja war, saving this orphaned kid along with Konin, another member of the current Akatsuki, and their timid but powerful friend, Nagato. Him having an eye power stronger than the Uchiha Sharingan or the Hyuga Byakugan, eyes said to have been had by the legendary sage of the Six Paths, the father of all ninjutsu, the Rinnegan, those purple swirly eyes from earlier. I wonder if they will be very important as we go on. These three kids going on to form the Akatsuki and, due to some tragic shit happening, ended up becoming terrorists who are following the lead of Masked Man Tobito. Another form of that ninja hate from the past causing problems in the present. Their losses having hurt too much for the survivors to accept. Pain killing Jiraiya and soon after launching his all-out attack on Konoha, pretty much completely destroying the village and killing tons of people, all so he could track down Naruto and Ninetales. battles. While at the same time, on the other end of the scale, Sasuke had made his confrontation with Itachi, tracking him down all of these years later and preparing for their big final fight. The hatred in Sasuke's past causing him the pain he's dealt with his whole life. And if it wasn't clear before, from here going forward, Kishimoto has decided firmly that for the rest of the series, the major focus, outside of shonen battles, would be how to confront, cope with, and move past the hatred of previous generations. How you have to be your own Fleetwood Mac and break the chain, becoming the people to change the world for the better, even if it means acknowledging that it's likely an impossible job, a question you won't find an answer to. Kishi, just like before, remixing and adding in new lore to fit these ideals around here, and is when for some people that dam started to break on how many shocking twists they could accept. Going back to the start of the time skip and what I had said earlier, I think it was for sure around there where Kishimoto decided on huge chunks of what was going to happen, regardless of how to get there or would it come before. And one of the first major changes would be how Itachi, before the time skip, was wildly heartless and used insane genjutsu to fuck up both Kakashi and Sasuke. Like when him and Kisame fight Kakashi, Asuma, Guy, and Kurenai on the river, I 100% think Itachi would have started killing if Guy hadn't shown up to get involved as well. But post time skip, he becomes much more mysterious. And not in a way of like, oh man, this villain is so strong and so cool and they're so in the shadows and I want to see them fight. But it's more that his dialogue and actions start to change a lot. Like there's an obvious shift here compared to this guy from earlier. His fight with Sasuke finally going down, and Kishimoto reminding you that, hey, even though the series had gotten a little explosive with all the crazy new jutsu, he still knows how to just draw some people beating the dog shit out of each other. I had already praised his art mid-combat before because of how stylish it was while using ninja techniques, having those power attacks mixed with the readable flow of the taijutsu. But as characters got stronger, powers got bigger, and overall just a little bit weirder. Like, you tell me what the fuck is going on with Kakuzu. This shit is crazy. I still don't really understand his mask system. And fights were now moving more into massive environmental damage level ninjutsu attacks. The second-to-second hand-to-hand blows from the early volumes taking a bit of a more backseat. Sasuke versus Itachi being a perfect combination of the entire series combat style. The brothers using ninjutsu, taijutsu, and of course, genjutsu with their wacky-ass Sharingan. The first few big attacks all just being back and forth ocular genjutsu while they stand there staring at each other motionless. I actually really love it. Itachi ending this fight a few chapters later by bringing out his secret move, the Susanoo. A big-ass chakra-based living suit of armor that, without even beating around the bush, is something Sasuke can eventually use to fight against Nine Tails. Like, I think it's pretty obvious, but it does look cool, so I can forgive it. Of course, all of the fighting aside, the big moment here, the thing that changes everything for not only Sasuke, but the plot in its entirety, is the reveal that Itachi was secretly the best guy ever. He didn't slaughter the Uchiha to measure his ability or whatever. It was an order from both the third Hokage and more so Danzo, being told to take out every single clan member because they were plotting an uprising. the entire Uchiha clan feeling ostracized in their village roles all due to the past actions of Madara Uchiha. Itachi following his orders and killing them all, but of course, unable to kill his little brother Sasuke, the kid that he loved more than the entire clan. Taking on the role of rogue shinobi and terrorist villain, all to protect Konoha, leaving Sasuke alive and pretty much hoping that one day his little brother will be the one that kills him. Now, after watching the anime and reading the manga twice a piece, this is a twist I've had a lot of time to think about. On one hand, I don't hate it at all. Itachi was a cool ass dude from minute one, and to me, he only got cooler as these chapters went on. And seeing the true type of person he was gave him some really great moments, both in the past and present. But also, a twist like that makes you look back at the things he did in part 1 and go, ew. And for some people, it made them consider the rest of the plot and wonder, well, what else will Kishimoto just go on to go, oh no, you didn't know the whole story, and write in whatever might work for what he's planning. It being done fairly casually here with Itachi. Like, what if he just decided that the Ninetales attack had a super huge amount of other stuff happening that night that makes tons of characters look very different in hindsight? Like, what if Naruto's mom was the former Ninetale Jinchuriki, and the night he was born, Tobito showed up and put a kunai to his neck? And then, what if he ripped the Ninetales out of Naruto's mom and possessed it with a Sharingan to destroy the village? And what if the 4th Hokage Minato was actually out fighting against Tobito and later on died with his wife? Them using their final breaths to seal the fox spirit in baby Naruto and save the village. All while the 3rd Hokage watched, saying to him, don't worry bro, I'll help take care of your baby, and I definitely won't let him live alone drinking expired milk while the entire town hates him. That just will not happen, I promise. So yeah, all that happened too, this being revealed to both Naruto and the reader while having an internal soul conversation with the residual chakra of Minato that was buried inside of him somewhere to help keep the Ninetales locked up. This big ass sealed gate being something created by the 4th Hokage to protect Naruto as a baby. Sounds like a lot, right? Yeah, that's because it is. The Pain Assault and Sasuke vs Itachi showdown, despite being two stretches of chapters and episodes that are still beloved to this day, were the first unavoidable red flags that started to fly for the series. Kishimoto changing the plot to not only suit his writing's needs, but also this major antagonist in Pain/Nagato, someone who had just destroyed most of Konoha and killed actual cast members, Naruto having one of the most legendary pull-up moments in anime history with the giant frog crew in his new Sage Mode fit, blowing paths of pain away because he had leveled up so much, was instead defeated by the now legendary Talk no Jutsu. Naruto tracking down the leader of the Six Pains, Nagato, and telling him, hey, knock it off, cut it out, stop that. To which Nagato does, using his Rinnegan to literally revive everybody who had just died and then dying himself. Basically being redeemed as a good guy now. His role of main villain replaced with the combo team of Tobito and Sasuke, who after learning the truth about why Itachi slaughtered the Uchiha, has decided himself that he's going to take down Konoha along with everybody in it. And I think up to this point, these events are easily the most divisive in the fan base, hands down. Itachi being a secret good guy was one thing, but following it up with Pain, who had killed Jiraiya, seemingly killed Kakashi, destroyed Konoha, and pushed Naruto to almost fully releasing the Nine Tails, now being talked into killing himself, had some people looking at the events that just happened as pointless. Combined with all that additional info about Tobito being behind the Nine Tails attack from years ago, Minotaur literally appearing in his soul and talking to Naruto like face to face. And I could see how this would shake your faith in Kishimoto's writing a bit, like it for sure did for me on my first watch in 2014. But going back to both of these big plot points now and looking at them in the broad sense of the full story, where it was going to go after this as well, even if it was absolutely 100% introduced a bit sloppily, this was another continuation of the past hatred affecting the present, it being forced into Naruto's face with Nagato, his master's former pupil, a failed student that not only killed Jiraiya, but possibly Hinata, Kakashi, tons of innocents, and forces Naruto to ask himself, what the hell do I do? Like, Naruto can recognize that Pain is unforgivable. He can understand both why Nagato did the things he has and also why he's gotta be stopped. And the true endpoint of this character arc for Naruto is, what do you do? How do you confront that hatred, that pain, and defeat it without causing more pain in its wake? Yeah, it's a very Batman core, if you kill the Joker then you are just as bad because you're a murderer now. Please ignore the hundreds of bodies he left lying over there mindset. But it's now being thrown directly in his face when it's never something that he's really had to consider before. And with that, Naruto himself flat out admits he doesn't know. These are problems both much bigger than himself, but are also ones that affect him on a personal level. Having already seen what that pain could do to someone once a life is taken with Haku and Zabuza years ago, and now knowing Sasuke is on a very similar path to becoming someone like Nagato, having fell into the pain of his past and by killing Itachi has only caused deeper pain for himself. And even if he is a shonen protag who things will usually just work out for, I really respect the drive Naruto has, knowing that these things likely can't just be fixed. It was something Jiraiya himself had brought up that he didn't know how to handle. These are problems that won't go away on their own because pain is generational. So the only solution Naruto can think of is to be a leading role for the next generation to stop that hatred. To find ways for the world to exist with open, friendly hands and not flat out distrust and combat. To save his best friend from that same darkness and becoming a Hokage that could lead the future to a brighter place. Yeah, this is a short-sighted and very Shonen Jump way of ending this saga. Nagato just going, damn, that's cool, and giving up is a really anticlimactic way to end a big arc that felt like it was being built up going back to the start of the time skip. But I don't totally hate it because it is completely in line with the story Kishimoto was wanting to write. How Naruto himself would confront those ideas. Even if Nagato reviving everyone and Naruto just becoming beloved by the village rubs me a little wrong. Kishimoto knew if he killed Kakashi, fans would probably come for his head, so he definitely wanted to walk that one back. But while the villagers themselves being revived and coming to love Naruto makes sense because he saved them, I do wish there was more introspection on anyone's part about it. Iruka obviously have his moment where he happy cries seeing Naruto being embraced by the town. And that is great because Iruka is the best, and his role of father figure towards Naruto going back to chapter 1 still hits. But post Chunin exams and up to now, Naruto might as well be a Konoha star. Like, this is one of the most important kids in town. And you don't really ever see the village accept him as much as you do a few kids or teachers during the exam. Like, these people hated him, and now he's the hero and everyone's just happy about it. No actual regret for how he was treated for all of those years. And I think that sucks because those people were just needlessly shitty to a 12-year-old. Combined with the extra knowledge that there are more Jinchuriki in the world, Naruto is not a lonely guy in this situation. There's 8 more of these fuckers out there. So I just wish it was meaningfully addressed at all outside of Naruto talking to his evil shadow self later on, which is more so about letting him accept their praise. And I do think that acceptance is extremely mature for Naruto himself, and it completely fits into the idea of letting the pain of the past go. But the story never really absolves those fuck-ass villagers, and I hate them all. Anyway, with the deaths of Pain and Itachi, them following up the deaths of Deidara, Sasori, Kakuzu, and Hidan, with Koden having already left now, the Akatsuki as a group is pretty much crippled. Sasuke making up half its members with his little goon squad he had been chilling around with since killing Orochimaru, Suigetsu, Jugo, and Karen. Him being both full of hatred and now also full of new eyeballs. Tobito implanting Itachi's eyes into him and unlocking his Mangekyo Sharingan. Sasuke becoming even more powerful so he can use them to not only kill the Hokage, but every Kage of every village. Him becoming a top-class most wanted terrorist that the world has decided to do something about. Tsunade entering a coma after using her powers to save lives during the Pain Assault, and Danzo scooting on in her place to become the 6th Hokage candidate. The story now entering its big final chunk with the start of the 4th Great Ninja War. Tobito appearing in front of the world and presenting himself as Madara Uchiha, declaring war on the Gokage and launching the world into a huge battle for survival. And it's with these last 20 or so volumes that the problems of Naruto, as well as a lot of its strengths, start to come to their peak. The 4th Great Ninja War is rough. Like, I don't want to skirt around it and try to come off as like I'm dancing in a minefield to justify myself, because I think these next 20 plus volumes have tons of chapters that range from mid to outright boring, with ideas that run the gambit from cool to just kinda bland. After Sasuke's attack on Killer Bee, the Jinchuriki of the Cloud Village and brother of their leader, the Raikage, he's given a full-on death sentence that Konoha has no choice but to accept. Like, brother is attacking some of the most important people to other villages. He's a problem, he's gotta go. The 5 Kage of the world meeting in the land of the samurai. neutral swordsmen who I guess don't really use ninjutsu? I don't know, the samurai are not really explained, honestly, they kind of just exist. This also introducing the remaining two other village leaders, the Mizukage and the Tsuchikage, the lands of fire, sand, cloud, water, and earth all coming together for the first time in decades. The summit getting invaded by Sasuke, with Tobito declaring himself as Madara and saying, "Get ready for war." Naruto having to cope with the back-to-back knowledge that not only was Itachi a good guy the whole time, but that Sasuke killed him and is ready to destroy all of Konoha as well, becoming a member of the Akatsuki and one of the world's biggest terrorists. Sasuke catching Danzo at the summit and going a little wacky. While all around their fight, multiple events are happening involving Naruto and Sakura just like 20 miles away or something. Sakura pulling out her confession to Naruto about how she secretly loves him. And at this point, there's a lot going on. There's many things to sit there and take in. After everything leading here, Sasuke has gone full edgelord. Like, there's no dodging it anymore. Sure, he was a shit kid that definitely got edgy, but if you want to stand outside of the story and look at it objectively, he had reasons for being like he was. And even into post-time skip, the only people he seemingly had killed were Orochimaru, which, thank you for that, that's a good thing, and Itachi. Kishimoto showing him taking down those like few hundred shinobi in volume 31 or so, but not killing any of them. Orochimaru calling him weak for sparing them. Now, all these volumes later, after the truth has come out about Itachi, bro no longer gives a shit and is willing to cut down anyone for anything. Laughing like a goofy ass villain and yelling about how people don't understand his pain or anger. Remember that one tweet that says he's how certain types of white people start talking when they get mad enough? Yeah, that's real as shit. Sasuke was at the Capitol on January 6th. Willing to just easily sacrifice the only 3 friends he's made since going rogue. Getting that famous shot where he stabs Karen through her chest to kill Danzo. A person who was 1,000,000,000% on his side and down to help him forever because all the women in Naruto just love Sasuke. Casting her aside with a laugh, all to get his revenge. Now, when it comes to the Danzo fight itself, while there is still fantastic artwork and combat shots here like any other major drawn Kishimoto battle, the techniques are starting to really rely a lot on the unpredictable power of a Sharingan. Danzo's bandaged up arm actually being full of Sharingan he stole from dead Uchiha years ago, giving him the power of Izanagi, a genjutsu that literally swaps out a fatal hit with a clone at the cost of one of his arm Sharingan, them being closed when they're used up. And brother, this is stupid as shit. Fucking Sharingan arm, come on. I'll bend over backwards to defend over Kishimoto for some shit, but you will never convince me this looks cool in any way. Sasuke screaming about the village and his anger, coming off like an edgy brat as Danzo dies over and over again like Nelly versus Tim McGraw. And while this goofy ass fight was going down, like I said, you got Sakura telling Naruto she loves him and not Sasuke, just so he will hopefully give up on trying to save him and come back home. Naruto looking her dead in the face and going, "That's stupid and you're dumb. Also, I hate liars, you liar." Sakura taking that rejection as an opportunity to try and trick Sasuke and kill him herself. before being saved by Kakashi because she's nowhere near capable enough to do that. Her character being called into question by the reader, and it all coming back to Kishimoto's writing of her. Now, when I first watched Naruto and then rewatched it with my wife years back, my main thought on Sakura was, wow, what a bad character. And not in a way that like she annoyed me or I hated her, it was like, go away, useless girl. But more that I could tell Kishimoto himself had no clue what to write for her. Going back to like the first few arcs and all the way until this point, and having read the manga twice as well now, my updated thoughts are, she's still not a great character, but the anime did make her much worse. Like, yeah, she's always obsessed over Sasuke, but the inner Sakura and her lovey-dovey behavior is cranked up so much in the anime past like the first 2 volumes of manga, and it lasts for like the entire original series, continuing into Shippuden before she just kind of vanishes after Sasori. Never really getting any kind of advancement or closure on those feelings, and it feeling undeserved for Sasuke based on how he acted. Where here in the manga, it is always her main character focus, but I feel like it didn't force its way into every dialogue box when she was on page. And once the Chunin exams took off, it felt way less intrusive overall in comparison. That said, going all of the way back, Sakura has had one and only one character goal: to follow after Sasuke. She's loved him since before the manga began, and thinks mostly only about him. Her major Chunin exams fight with Ino stemmed from Sasuke. Cutting her hair in the forest as a show of strength, she did it so she could protect Sasuke. When he takes off with the Sound 4 and leaves her behind, she begs Naruto to bring him back. And when that mission failed, she spent the next 2 years training herself to get stronger, wanting to be able to actually help Naruto next time instead of having to stay behind and put the pressure on him. Help him do what exactly? Yeah, that's right, save Sasuke. And outside of the Sasori fight from earlier, Sakura had been forced, yet again, despite wanting to get stronger, to stand on the sidelines while Naruto beat most of the Akatsuki, unlocking Sage Mode and saving Konoha himself. And while all of that does fuel her feelings of wanting to try and deal with Sasuke herself now with the Kage Summit, to do something on her own without relying on Naruto to help her like the whole village is doing now, that promise he made to her years ago being the, I guess in her mind, only reason Naruto was trying so hard to save Sasuke? Because she had asked him to do it and Naruto had a crush on her at some point? And not that Naruto just wanted to save Sasuke already because they're best friends. So when you take like all of it into account, how all she's ever obsessed about seems to be Sasuke, and how Naruto's devotion to saving him was her fault in her mind, because I guess Naruto wouldn't do anything if she didn't ask him to do it because he likes her? I don't know. It makes her come off as short-sighted, self-centered, and just dumb, making Sakura herself look so much worse, unfortunately. And Kishimoto never really doing anything to try and improve on her before or after this. Like this failed confession thing being one of her only 2 real remaining character moments in the next 20 volumes of story. And I think that's legitimately bad because Sakura has potential to be a great character. Sure, she got stuck with the shonen woman role of being a healer, but she can beat the shit out of people with her over-the-top strength in ways that still scares Naruto. She's the next generation's Tsunade of the legendary Sannin. And outside of Sasori, she never gets to showcase that meaningful character progression in any way, and it fucking sucks, dude. I don't think it's bad. Her goal has been and still is Sasuke. That's fucking Naruto's too, pretty much. But that doesn't mean Sakura herself couldn't use the same level of attention these two got. The backstory, the developments, everything. Her always feeling like the odd one out. I know Sakura's got like some real shooters out there, and I am not trying to sit here and shit on her or go she is just bad. I think Kishimoto just really fucked up with her. And that's even more of a shame because as I sit here and criticize both Sasuke and Sakura, going back to Naruto himself during all of this, I still think his character is just getting better. After having to cope with the death of Jiraiya and defeating Nagato in a battle of ideals, he's been in a weird mindset for a minute now. Having to learn that Sasuke is not only being hunted down, he's become the major cause for a full-scale war breaking out. He killed Itachi and found out that he actually killed a brother that still loved him. He's out doing big terrorism and attacking leaders of the world. He blew up the fucking Ninja United Nations. While behind it all, this masked dude calling himself Madara is basically controlling Sasuke's actions in roundabout ways. And Naruto has a straight up panic attack, like full on short breaths, losing his vision and hearing, passing out in front of Kakashi, because all of this hitting back to back to back was just too much to deal with at once. Like, Naruto has to basically come to terms with the fact that if he wants to stop Sasuke, he's gonna have to get strong enough to take on both him and Madara, becoming stronger than all 5 Kage who want him to stay the hell away from the war. Madara busted in and said, "Give us the tailed beasts," and they said no. Literally the goal here is to get Naruto and Killer Bee. So unless he can step it up, he won't even be allowed to help in the war. Knowing likely, one way or another, both him and Sasuke are likely bound to end up killing each other. One to kill the hatred of his past, and the other to try and stop the hatred being created in the present. All going back to the main theme of what Kishimoto had been building up until now. And even if the writing of all of these things had started to get pretty shaky as we went, I will still stand here and defend both Naruto as a character and the series for these types of moments. And no matter what's about to come from the Ninja War, I think the through line of Naruto himself and his goals continues to stay enjoyable for the rest of the ride. With this being a war to basically capture Naruto and Killer Bee, the only 2 Jinchuriki not taken out by the Akatsuki, they go into hiding on a remote island with a tailed beast cave. It just being an excuse to let Naruto finally have a normal conversation with Nine Tails, not one where it's a do or die life or death moment of needing a power boost. While on the outside, all across the ninja world, the war has begun. Tobito teaming up with Kabuto, him having taken all of Orochimaru's research and some other stuff, raising up an army of not only white Zetsu clones born from cells of the first Hokage, but also using Orochimaru's reanimation jutsu from the Konoha Crush to bring back literally everybody, minus Jiraiya, Hidan, and the former Hokage. We got Zabuza, Haku, Granny Chiyo, Nagato, Itachi, Asuma, tons of newly introduced characters from past lore, the other 7 swordsmen of the mist or former Kage from other villages, and also just some fucking random dudes. Like, there's just a couple of characters who are like, yeah, here they are, I guess. It's a big ass list. And for most of these reanimation fights across the battlefields, I think they're kinda boring. Like, is it cool in concept to see something like Zabuza and Haku taking on a more powered up Kakashi? Yeah, sure, maybe in like a death battle type of way, but the fight itself doesn't come close to anything from their original battle. Is it interesting to see these former Mist swordsmen and the types of blades they used? Yeah, but they don't really exist past that. They aren't real characters. Is it a nice moment for Asuma to come back and see how Ina Shikacho has progressed so far since his death? Yeah, and I still love all 4 of these characters and their relationship, but it's totally not needed. And then you got things like these 2 twin dipshits who stole some Ninetales chakra popping up out of nowhere. Like, yeah, Darui is cool and I love seeing his black lightning jutsu, but the fight itself, I just don't care. Something I can pretty much say for most of the reanimation fights, to be honest. It felt like Kishimoto realized he was launching into a whole ass war with no real villains left. They had all been taken out. So you've got 2 options: either reveal a whole new secret cast of characters that Tobito had on deck, or just bring back the ones we already knew about for round 2s, tossing in a couple of good guys under Kabuto's possession for good measure. And I don't really think there was an easy way around that issue, so for what it's worth, I can give him credit for finding a way to make these reanimations seem natural to the plot, but you could also argue that this huge ass war might not have needed to happen overall in general. Tobito going, good luck stopping this, and bringing in the reanimated Jinchuriki that were taken out by the Akatsuki, who also now just have a Sharingan and Rinnegan each. Tobito having tracked down Nagato's corpse and taking the Rinnegan while also killing Conan along the way, meaning he too now has a combo Sharingan Rinnegan. And I know this is all supposed to be super intimidating, stacking up power up on top of power up. But I don't know these people, Kishimoto. You forgot to tell us about them. I have no clue how strong they were, what they were like as people, anything at all compared to Naruto or B. So this reveal just means jack shit. And when talking about the reanimation jutsu in general, looking at Kabuto himself and what was coming up shortly for him, I still wonder if Kishimoto had no clue what to do with him after the death of Orochimaru, because bro exists to be a plot device. Injecting himself with the cells of Orochimaru and the first Hokage to become this dumbass snake man in constant sage mode. What is it with Kishimoto having so many people just inject cells into their bodies to get new weird powers? Bro's like, if we all share this rusty needle, we will definitely get stronger, and no dude, that ain't how it works. All these complaints said, when the focus shifts back to Naruto, B, Ninetales, and this island they're on, that's when I feel the heart of the series pumping again. It still has that silliness from early volumes. It's got actual character development for Naruto himself. It's got fights I care about, Guy versus Kisame being cool as shit yet again. And when it comes down to it, I like the stuff that goes on from here between Naruto and Ninetales. The two equally facing each other down inside of Naruto's soul. And like how before where Minato's chakra soul appeared to help Naruto to keep Ninetales at bay, guess who shows up this time? Naruto finally also meeting his mom, Kushina Uzumaki. Her giving him the encouragement he needs to take hold of the Nine-Tails chakra for his own use, unlocking a true Jinchuriki form, the blazing orange Nine-Tailed chakra mode. And despite how shonen all of this is, and how goofy it is to say, yeah, his parents just keep appearing in his soul, I still think this is all back-to-back great writing for Naruto himself. Outside of the manga, Kishimoto had gotten married and had a kid during the series' publication. And even though at first he likely never had plans for Naruto to meet his parents, them both being, dead, the idea became important to him since he himself was a father now, working in a way for Naruto to meet both Minato and Kushina. And sure, it can be a little silly when you think about it, but I think it's fine, honestly. I've said it before, but I'm not someone who gets mad at an author creating the story as they go. I wouldn't be able to love shonen like I do if that was the case. And I know these ghost soul meetings made some people roll their eyes, but I think it's fine, man. I don't know, the reanimated war going on outside was so lame in comparison that these moments of mother and son bonding was way nicer to see. The actual Nine-Tailed chakra mode itself looking cool as shit. Like, out of all the big famous Super Saiyan forms across manga and anime, all of Naruto's are absolutely up there in my top tiers. This form, Sage Mode, the other ones coming down the road later, I can't help it. I really like all of them. Using his new abilities to sense chakra that a whole ass war was going on outside, blasting past the multiple people who try and stop him with the goal of ending this conflict himself. Sending out shadow clones in chakra mode across the battlefields and beating the shit out of both the reanimated soldiers and the Zetsu clones. Naruto basically becoming a one-man army, while elsewhere in the war, Sasuke has run across a certain someone, the reanimated Itachi. The two having another meeting with all of Sasuke's current knowledge and feelings. This moment probably being the biggest turning point for Sasuke as a character. I feel like it's safe to say that across the whole manga, Sasuke is consistently the most divisive character in the cast. I know people who love Sasuke, who hate him, who loved, then hated him, who hated, then loved him. Like, he's run the whole gambit of being the tragic anti-hero to goofy over-the-top evil villain, and back again to a slightly less tragic anti-hero. A lot of this love and hate coming from the fact that, unlike Naruto, who has his ninja way that he sticks to no matter what, Sasuke doesn't really have anything like that. He's an emotional, immature kid who, despite being strong and having dealt with an awful experience growing up, has no morals to stick to, no path to follow, nothing to help guide his anger and jealousy that had built up over time. People like Orochimaru or Tobito using it to their advantage and swaying him to do pretty much whatever they want. And unfortunately, due to that extreme edge on top of those personality traits, it turns a lot of people off to him. He comes off as a dumbass kid who makes nothing but the wrong choices. And I'm not even gonna lie, I felt pretty similar after watching the anime those first two times. It wasn't until my first full manga read that I kinda came to appreciate him in a different way from Naruto. I looked back at all the things I just said, the inadequacy he felt as Naruto got stronger, a thing he had already felt around Itachi growing up when his dad gave him all of the praise. The blind anger that gets easily manipulated because he lived through a hyper-traumatic event. How, if you really think about it, going back to him leaving Konoha and up to now, all of his life choices have been the plans of someone else. Born from a village that sacrificed the things he loved for their own safety. And due to it all, Sasuke has never really been his own person. It's why he keeps changing personalities over and over, trying to mold himself to fit new goals. Because at his core, until this point, he doesn't really even know himself in a way. There's this scene where the allied ninja forces are all en route to regroup into one massive army, heading to one spot on the battlefield. The narration commenting on how all of these formerly hostile nations have come together under a common goal: to protect Naruto and Killer Bee. How these villages used to all be at non-stop war with each other. But in a roundabout way, Naruto has brought them all together on the same side. This huge spread showing tons of footprints where allied shinobi are making their way to fight alongside him, to stand together as a force for humanity. While elsewhere in the world, there's a lone trail of footprints, a path being walked alone by one single person. Sasuke, from childhood to now, having always forced others away and choosing to be the only one walking on his road. This meeting with a reanimated Itachi being the tipping point to letting him start to come to terms with his own trauma. The inadequacy he had felt ever since he was a little kid, and for the first time, making a choice for himself, not based on past anger or the sweet talk of some evil dipshit. Now, has it been a perfect path here writing-wise? Does this justify how edgy he became, especially during the Gokage summit? Not totally. I'll never get over him trying to casually kill Karen. Not because she's important to him, but even as an evil edgelord, her power is one of the most useful he could have had at his side. She loved him and would heal all his wounds at the cost of her life, no problem already. So even though he's like, I'm so strong and don't need her, it still just makes him look short-sighted and childish in the long run to give up a tool like that willingly. All of that critical analysis aside, his meeting with reanimated Itachi is a really fantastic moment between the brothers. Even if it does only exist because of like 7,000 plot contrivances, Itachi having planted that crow with his Sharingan in Naruto volumes ago to break free of Kabuto's reanimation possession because he just totally planned for this to happen, I guess. And the Izanami Genjutsu literally just going, yeah, I trapped Kabuto in Gold Experience Requiem until he realizes he was a piece of shit bad guy and then chooses to be good. Like, you wanna argue about talk no jutsu, this actual real Genjutsu is a billion times sillier. Both the Izanami and the Izanagi are such bullshit, Kishimoto, you fucker. But this head tap being followed by a really sentimental and sweet message from older to younger brother is great. Like, there's a lot of things around this that are making me fold my arms and shake my head, but I can't hate these two, I just can't do it. Causing Sasuke to reconsider his entire position of killing Konoha after Itachi told him to chill it out a little bit. Breaking the reanimation control over the battlefield and the undead troop souls all heading back to the afterlife. All of those fights that already kind of felt pointless just ending now. doubling down on my thoughts that Kishimoto just needed troops to fill boots during the war, and it really didn't matter how, regardless of if it affected the enjoyment of chapter-to-chapter moments, them going away as quickly as they came. Also, going back to something I mentioned earlier, Itachi talking Sasuke down from attacking Konoha makes sense for his character, but I still don't think the leaders of the village should just be considered absolved from the huge list of awful shit they did. Like, I don't know, I just think 80% of Konoha really sucks ass. Anyway, this is all to say, the true final saga in this war arc is the volumes-long confrontation between not only the allied ninja forces against Tobito, but now the fully reanimated corpse of Madara Uchiha, who for some reason didn't fade away with the rest of the reanimations. Which, even though it's been obvious to most readers this whole time, it would mean that masked man Tobito, who had been calling himself Madara, is not really him. So who could it be? Alright, so to just drop all pretense and jump right in there, the true final battle of the series, well, kinda, is the allied shinobi forces, which pretty much includes literally every single character who isn't dead, versus reanimated Madara, Tobito, who has now been revealed to be Obito Uchiha, and the Ten Tails, a weird-ass chakra monster from ancient times who was broken apart by the Sage of Six Paths into 9 separate beasts. Them being the monsters locked inside of Jinchuriki. The reason Akatsuki members had been hunting them all down being to revive this Ten Tails. Tons of characters reappearing to get small shots or moments in this extremely large-scale battle. The series has always toyed around with some jutsu basically being excuses for giant monster combat, be it summoning jutsu to bring in the frog warriors or giant snakes, full-on Jinchuriki Biju modes where they turn into their tailed beasts, Itachi and Sasuke's ever-growing Susanoo. It's absolutely not a new concept to the series. So while I don't have complaints so much that it's becoming a huge part of this final battle, logically, this makes sense, but it's that it makes most of the combat feel bland. Like it's all flash with barely any substance. When the big monsters came out before, it was in a way to either show the strength of the jutsu's caster, or just to give some kind of scale to how large a fight had grown. A lot of times being the climax after working its way there through basic jutsu combat. So now when Naruto is just in constant nine-tailed beast mode and throwing double Rasen Shuriken Biju bombs, it looks cool and it makes sense for him to be able to do this lore-wise. But on page, it just ends up being explosions that don't have much impact because there's no way the battle would end with those attacks, since that's also how it basically started. That said, the reasoning for this nine-tailed form is something that I do like, and I don't care what you say, but I think Naruto and Ninetales becoming friends is pretty good. Naruto, obviously, is the ultimate shonen protagonist. He was willing to talk with Nagato after he destroyed Konoha and killed Jiraiya. He's been chasing after Sasuke for years because he's worried about his friend. So him being willing to try and accept Ninetales isn't out of the question. But also now, both for us as readers and Naruto himself, we've learned a shitload more about the Biju, their place in history and how they've been treated over time. He's met Killer Bee, who's friends with the Eight Tails. They're on a first name basis and fight together as a team. And yeah, Ninetales is the one who ultimately kills killed Naruto's parents. But after seeing all the events of that night and the history of the Jinchuriki, you can't blame the fox for having that anger built up over so long. Naruto just being the first one to actually come to him on equal terms, learning that this whole time he had a name, Kurama, and telling him straight up how grateful he is that Kurama was with him this whole time. Yeah, it's not always been a good relationship. Naruto has suffered a lot due to him, and Kurama has been locked inside this kid for like 15 years now. But when push came to shove, even if it was unintentional or for his own protection, Kurama had been giving Naruto his chakra for years. He had been helping him to become this amazing ninja, whether he meant to or not. And Naruto can straight up admit that he couldn't have gotten here without him, wanting to meet on equal terms as friends instead of cage beast and master. And man, I don't care. I just love this shit. Is Naruto a blindly kind-hearted shonen character? Yeah, duh. But it's so honest and pure. I don't know how Kishimoto does it, but he makes Naruto's convictions feel so strong, both in the writing and the art. That ninja way of his never ever bending for 1 minute. And while I do love all this stuff for both Naruto and Kurama, I unfortunately still got a shitload of issues on what's going on with this war itself. Obito is not a compelling villain to me. I've gone through all of Naruto 4 times now, and each time I try and analyze him a little differently to see if my thoughts change on this read. And my final feelings now after this 4th time are pretty much, yeah sure I guess. As an antagonist for the ideals that Kishimoto had been writing about, that hatred of the past and how future generations find solutions to it, yeah, Obito makes sense. He was the Naruto analog of his team, with Kakashi being the Sasuke and Rin the Sakura. Obito loving Rin, but dying after that boulder crushed his shit, giving his left eye and Sharingan to Kakashi, but it now being revealed that he didn't die. Instead, old man Madara saved him and was like, bro, hatred is cool. The past is awful, and that means the future probably will be too. You should just go apeshit instead. Which, after seeing the misunderstanding of Kakashi killing Rin, her actually using his lightning blade to kill herself, Obito also goes, yeah, fuck the past, dude, let's just end it all, and becomes the masked Madara, guiding the entire plot to this point behind the scenes. So now him and the reanimated Madara can turn the moon into a big Sharingan, forcing everyone that looks at it into a forever genjutsu, living in cocoons while dreaming of their perfect worlds. And after a certain point, as much as I hate using this phrase because the most annoying people say it, I can't help but think, remember when this series was about ninja? We've moved far past Shinobi showing off cool jutsu. These attacks are destroying whole ass mountain ranges with big ass monsters running around in the battlefield, fighting troops made of white goop. And like, it's just a lot for where this series came from. Obito being the catalyst for it all, absorbing the power of the Ten Tails into himself like a Jinchuriki and becoming a demigod. And at this point, with how many power-ups, fake-outs, and ineffective attacks both teams have thrown at each other, it gets to where you don't really care anymore about the minute-to-minute fighting, and you're kind of just waiting for the one move that will truly matter. The combat scenes themselves still having nice shots or cool ideas in them here and there, but overall just being reduced to panels of explosions filled with motion lines, leaving no real impact on you as a reader, even if you are still attached to the characters themselves. Also, fuck off with the only person to really die here being Neji, my personal favorite of the Konoha kids. Kishimoto killing him off so he could have an actual reason to bring Naruto and Hinata together because he keeps forgetting to do it anywhere else in the story. Shout out that years old meme of Hisashi's master plan. This was all according to Keikaku, and somehow this post still applies to Boruto in a goofy ass way. That said, I don't want to sound like all the combat here in the ending war arc is bad, because that's just not true. Madara dropping the double meteor explosion on the Gokage is still one of the funniest moments of manga. Like, not even just in Naruto itself, I'm talking the whole medium. And let's not forget Studio Pierrot's adaptation of this fight. Madara just gliding through hundreds of dudes with ease, and it probably being one of the best animated fights of the entire franchise. Fucking Night Guy later on when he opens up all 8 gates and beats the shit out of Madara. That face he makes when they say only taijutsu will work on him is the best. I fucking love Guy so much. It's just that these moments get lost in a literal sea of non-stop biju bombs. I will throw it out here real quick, I actually do think Madara himself is a pretty fun villain. Hyper intimidating, but not in a way that comes off as trying too hard like Sasuke or Obito. More so it's like, yeah, he just is that guy, he is him. And more than anything, he just wants to have a good ass fight. That moment when the first Hokage shows back up to the battlefield and he's like, yo, let's go. And the first just goes, shut up, fuck off, I'm busy. And he's like, what? It's so good. Kishimoto does still know how to write compelling characters. But going back to the theming and idealism Kishi had been still trying to focus on, Naruto, now being the strongest person in the world minus Sasuke, Obito, and Madara, has become the voice for the next generation. He's the one that people who came before have all put their faith into. Iruka, Kakashi, Tsunade, Jiraiya, Granny Chiho, Nagato, the other 4 Kage, his parents, the allied shinobi force as a whole. They all believe Naruto will be the one that saves this world, that he can change the future of ninja. And while some of the things coming up that will end the story itself I do not enjoy, I think this final form progression of Naruto's character is near perfect. Does it have contrivances? Lucky power-ups and an already amazing legacy behind his name that was given to him by Jiraiya and Minato? A legacy that was largely added in way after the fact? Yeah, sure. But I still do think Kishimoto's writing of Naruto himself has always been great. Even here now, when the rest of the plot is getting a little goofy. And of course, on the other end of the scale, Sasuke has returned to Konoha, reviving Orochimaru yet again because the fucking freak refuses to die, and uses the reanimation jutsu to bring back the previous 4 Hokage, Hashirama, Tobirama, Sarutobi, and Minato. Sasuke basically going, alright, can y'all just like break it down for me on why this world is the way it is? Why this endless life of war and violence is all they knew in the past? So that, for the first time, Sasuke can decide for himself what to do about this war. Not only the one being fought out on the battlefield, but a war between the past and the future. And for what it's worth, I think the lore here is actually really good. Hashirama Senju being the childhood best friend of Madara Uchiha, coming from 2 clans locked in endless battle with each other, them breaking the cycle of violence as adults and forming Konoha together. Except it wasn't a true peace, not a real ending to that legacy of distrust. Madara choosing to leave the village and fighting the first Hokage to the death, except not dying. Saving Obito, setting up his plans, and blah blah blah. It kind of feeling a little odd to me that all of this history from here to now took place in like 50 to 60 years maybe? The third Hokage was alive at the same time as the first and the second. Minato, the fourth, died during the Ninetales attack, and the third had to take back over, still being in charge 12 years after that until he died in battle, not from natural causes. So a shitload of major history really went by fast. Sasuke going, alright, that was interesting, let's go because the plot needs me. Bringing the 4 reanimated Kage along with Orochimaru with him. Like I said, literally every single person in the world is now fighting against Obito and Madara. And as for how this war ends, the coming twists, turns, and ending to the story, it is definitely something. So around this point, and just to jump right ahead to it, Naruto and Sasuke, during this massive ass war, both die. Well, kinda. Them going to I guess another realm of consciousness in their souls, kind of like when Naruto talks to Kurama, and meeting the power-up plot lord himself, Masashi Kishimoto, as played by the Sage of the Six Paths. Him here to basically give them a plot device so they can win. The two boys actually both being reincarnations of the Sage's two sons, Asura and Indra. The brothers fighting against each other over hundreds of years ago, and from that point until now, their bloodlines have been in one way or another locked in constant war. Naruto and Sasuke being the current generation's version of them. Hagoromo, or the Sage of the Six Paths' real name, unlocking their sage powers and using it to get even stronger again. And skipping over the entire idea of them being reincarnations for now, just hang on a second. It's all largely so Naruto and Sasuke have some way to beat Obito. It being dropped in so last minute that, to me, it in no way feels natural. Naruto once again whipping out the talk no jutsu and telling Obito he's an idiot who should just stop it, knock it off. And Obito goes, damn, real, and does. Madara stealing his 10-tailed power and becoming yet another even stronger final boss, motherfucking Six Paths Madara, who has also broken his Edo Tensei reanimation jutsu and fully revived back to life, meaning he's even stronger now. Oh, and don't forget, he's also got the Rinnegan as well, and bro, you don't get it. He is so strong. I'm not even talking about the Jubei Jinchuriki Gero Rennen Tensei Uchiha Madara with the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan and Rinnegan dojutsus with the Rikudo abilities of being capable of both Amaterasu and Tsukiyomi Genjutsu, equipped with his Gunbai, a perfect Susanoo, control of the Jubei and Geromazu, with Hashirama Senju's DNA implanted in him so he has Mokuton Keikai Genkai, and can perform a yin-yang release ninjutsu while being an expert in Kinjutsu and Taijutsu. I am also not talking about Konoyo Kushirame Futame no Rikudo Jubei Jinchuriki Geno Rinnegan Tensei Edema. Man, who cares? Between the back-to-back power-ups, Obito becoming a good guy from Talk no Jutsu Part 2, Madara becoming an even bigger villain, and right after this, something else happens as well. It's all just become a blur. There's no stakes anymore. There's barely any personal conflict that means anything. There's no ninja shit that can match the levels of effortlessly cool combat from earlier. And even if Guy's 8-gay fight still rules, while it's happening, you already know it doesn't mean shit in context of this ending. Madara is just gonna get stronger and will be fine somehow. So instead of going, oh man, can Guy do it? You're just kind of going, well, when are Naruto and Sasuke gonna step up and actually win? Waiting for a plot twist that will have an excuse to find Madara defeated. Whether it be our duo getting another power-up or something else. I don't have too much to say about Obito giving in to talk no jutsu, honestly. It's an easy cop-out to make a tragic character seem more sympathetic so the main cast themselves don't seem as naive when they inevitably forgive him. Shout out that years-old picture of Naruto saying Obito was the coolest guy, surrounded by all the moments that possibly made him the most not cool guy there ever was. Bro held a kunai to your baby neck, come on brother.
He's so cool.
And even if I do think this resolution comes off as a little lazy to have him basically just give up, it's not really surprising at all considering how Kishimoto has written most of his tragic characters. How he wants their stories to fit into his themes of past versus future. But Obito aside, and even Madara himself aside, out of all of the moments leading here, I think the most egregiously disappointing one is the reformation of Team 7 on the battlefield. Naruto and Sasuke both having a level of power that's grown to an insane place by now, along with 70 volumes worth of character developments and important moments for each of them. And also, Sakura is here too, with none of that. I had already said it earlier about Sakura, and I don't hate or dislike her at all really. I'm honestly just upset with Kishimoto for not giving her anything past just chasing after Sasuke as a character, or at least use that in a way to affect her growth past the Sasori arc like 40 volumes ago now? The only other major moment she's had since then being one so out of character, it made her super disliked by the fan base. And standing here with them now feels like the exclamation point on this whole problem. Because I want her to be here. She should be here. She's the missing team member and third piece that makes up the Sannin of a new age. But Kishimoto just forgot to let us as readers see that progress on the way here, of how Sakura could be fighting in a way that Tsunade would have since she is her analog in the Sannin. The final battle popping off and Sakura, after like 1 or 2 panels, going right back to the sideline while Naruto and Sasuke do the heavy lifting. Like, Kishi can't even commit here at the end, and it's just disappointing. Madara being so powered up that what the hell could she really do? Let alone when Naruto and Sasuke are kind of like, I think we've hit a brick wall here, brother. The plot at a literal standstill until Black Zetsu comes slithering up. A character in the plot whose purpose and existence has always been weird, mostly creeping around off screen and always working with the true villains in some random ways. Now, with like 2 volumes left, being revealed that he's an alien here so he can revive his dead mom, the mother of all chakra, Kaguya Otsutsuki. The actual true main antagonist of the story for real this time. And in a lot of ways, it's when the fragile house of cards that had been glued together that is Naruto just got scissor kicked in the side by Kishimoto himself. This video was already long as hell, so to just cut right into it, this shit sucks, man. Kaguya has been a controversial twist forever. My takes, good or bad, really don't mean much here when so many people have already voiced them. So to just be as quick as possible, I think it's something that, sure, could have been an idea that existed for a while in Kishimoto's head, but in practice, it falls flat on its face to me. the already over-the-top enemy being beaten by a literal alien who came from the moon and also gave humans chakra, which means chakra is alien power basically. And outside of the obvious, this isn't ninja shit line from earlier, it all just comes off as lazy. And I know people made that fake quote years ago of Kishimoto saying he didn't know how to beat Madara, so he brought Kaguya in. And while that might be a totally fake quote, that's how it feels. There's no impact from this. I don't have any connections to her as a final antagonist, let alone as a character at all. And even if Obito and Madara aren't the best final bosses ever in terms of character writing, they at least feel appropriate for 70 volumes of buildup. With this brand new enemy existing and leaving within a single volume, only having like one mention in the plot before this as just some lore on the ancient wall back in that tailed beast cave. And I know you could say, well, this long bloodline feud started because of her, so she is like the past itself coming to fight Naruto, coming to fight a brighter future. And yeah, I do think that's fair. Don't mean she ain't boring as hell. To give some kind of positivity, Naruto hitting her with both a reverse harem jutsu and it working, along with an Uzumaki barrage, is very fun. Sure, it's an easy callback to the start of the story, so you can do the Leo point at the page, but it is still fun. And Naruto back then would try some shit like this in the biggest fight of his life. That's very Naruto core, so I like it. But with that said about Kaguya in this fight, none of it really matters, to be honest, not until Boruto at least. In the true final battle, the real ending Kishimoto wanted to write from way back when was finally ready to go down. The years-long awaited rematch between Naruto and Sasuke, now both equipped with enormous amounts of power and world-ending jutsu, no longer being just two rivals turned friends turned enemies, but instead a fated duo of a bloodline-long feud. This battle not only being about them just as Konoha Shinobi, as childhood rivals and friends, but also one that's fighting against a legacy of hatred for the combined better future, each side having their own ideals that they're ready to die for. And for better or worse on its way here, the big ass list of ups and downs. When it comes to volume 72 itself, the true ending, Kishimoto sticks the landing. I remember when Naruto was coming to an end back in 2014. The anime was still in the war, probably in some shit-ass Tsukiyomi filler arc. The manga now wrapping up the big final match between Naruto and Sasuke. Back then, I had a smartphone, but it kinda sucked. It was well out of date and my screen was fucked. Along with having no laptop or computer of any kind, but I did have a PS3, which had that really bad web browser. So I hopped on some scan website and fought through thousands of porn ads to read the last volume completely on my TV screen. Literally standing in front of it, pacing back and forth like the game was stressing me out. And back then when I was 19, still today at 30, I love this final battle. And overall, the way the plot has built up Naruto and Sasuke as rivals. When you look back at how they've both walked paths in opposite directions and have still found themselves meeting here in the middle, I think their goals make sense for each of them. Naruto, of course, still wanting just to beat some sense into Sasuke, while the last Uchiha left has decided that he wants to fill the same role Madara once did. to be a figure hated by all shinobi so that, regardless of what happens to Sasuke himself, the world can be united in their hatred of him. Another huge villain that, like with Obito and Madara, the combined ninja villages can come together and go, hey, this guy sucks and we should all team up to deal with it. A short-sighted idea, yeah, but it's one that I could see for Sasuke. Like, he's still that edgy boy from Volume 1 who's been through hell to get here. So his stoic ass, I'll be the bad guy behavior isn't out of left field. Naruto, of course, going, no, shut up, stop that. His only goal left just being to help his friend be happy, to let go of that anger and live with his former teammates. And now, where I've made some of you watch this over 2 hours video without saying it, guess what, bitches? Whether Kishimoto meant it or not, this is outright one of the gayest relationships in a popular shonen manga. No contest, don't even argue. Yeah, sure, they may start out as rivals who use each other as a way to encourage themselves to get stronger, but as the series went on, Sasuke leaving Konoha and Naruto trying over and over to bring him back, their relationship extended so far past just being friends. Like, Sasuke is nearly all Naruto can think about at times, and Sasuke occasionally doing the same. Both of them were alone as orphans in Konoha. Naruto incompetent and hated by everyone from kid to adult, while Sasuke was overtly talented but unable to connect with his weaker classmates who could also never understand his trauma. The adults of the village not even really knowing how to handle this one remaining Uchiha. The two kids looking at each other from a distance and kinda wanting to be friends because, despite them being so different, they're the only two who could kind of understand each other. Being assigned to Team 7 and becoming friends, rivals, and honestly, family. Sure, Kishimoto calls them brothers in the script, calls them each other's closest friends and biggest rivals, mixes together their backstories to where they actually literally always wanted to be friends with each other and are now part of some destined bloodline bound by fate to fight each other. And after a certain point, when you look at every little bit of this, I don't know how you can see their relationship as anything other than legit, real-ass love. And this is not a bad thing. I love how much they obsess over each other as much as they love to obsess over each other. And this isn't even trying to inject fan cannons or whatever like some people say. This ain't got shit to do with the huge online Narusasu fan base. This is just me who read and watched the series alone and with my wife, and we both went, damn, these fellas gay. Good for them, good for them. Like, it's in the text itself. Look at this shot and try and give me a straight explanation. You can't. Look at these color pages and try and go, no, actually, this is because they're just friends. Come on, fuck you. And all of that personal stuff aside, the fight itself goes so fucking hard. That early Naruto energy coming right back into play. The progression of attacks from hand to hand, bigger jutsu, transformation jutsu, and then just beating the shit out of each other with what little energy they got left. Ending with them blowing each other's arms off and laying there in the goofy goober Shell City pose with their blood basically making a heart. The two having a heart-to-heart where they're not fighting each other or one isn't trying to run away or whatever. They're both trapped here laying on the ground bleeding. They gotta listen to each other. It finally really hitting Sasuke that Naruto just wants his friend home. That he has something to come back to. There's a future they can have together as friends or whatever. Him finally smiling a real smile for like The first time in the series? One that wasn't some fake edgy smile or a pre-Itachi massacre flashback? And even if so many things leading here got rough, characters I love getting misused and forgot about, fights turning into shells of what they could have been, here at these final chapters, I love this ending. I can't help it. Is it silly that Sasuke totally gets pardoned for his war crimes? Yeah, but what did you expect? Honestly, it's way more insane that they let Orochimaru off the hook. That dude should be treated like Aizen in the Blood War. But it doesn't take away from the things I love. Naruto himself and this wild world of shinobi. The way Kishimoto, even if it wasn't perfect, did walk a fine line for both Naruto and Sasuke to grow apart and then back together, being done in a way that still holds up. These two changing shonen manga forever. The final chapter, as we all know, being the far future time skip, showing that Naruto's son, Boruto, is causing the same kind of trouble that Kid Naruto did, while the man himself, like he said he would, became Hokage. The manga wrapping up here at chapter 700. But before we go anywhere, and I just want to throw this in somewhere, the anime did go the extra mile here in these final episodes, where the manga kinda ended as soon as the fights wrapped up because Kishimoto was ready to go on his honeymoon, you know, from where he married his wife like 10 years prior, but was too busy drawing to go. So yeah, he deserved a break. The anime taking the torch and creating both the movie Naruto The Last and a small post-movie arc that I think is kind of important to the end of Naruto. The movie taking place in the time frame between the war's end and the final chapter time skip. The cast all being around 20 or so years old and having some great designs. The movie focusing completely on Naruto and Hinata, finally, for real this time, falling in love. With that small anime arc being the days leading into their wedding. The rest of the cast having to decide what to get them for a gift, and these episodes fucking rule. Not only do they set some stages for where characters would later go like Shikamaru and Temari, but you get to see the Konoha kids as young adults, a thing that straight up does not exist in the manga. The through-line plot being Iruka struggling on what he should get Naruto for the wedding, because obviously they have a very close relationship, but where Naruto is the world's hero now, not just Konoha. What do you even gift someone like that? Naruto himself asking Iruka to stand in the place of his dad at the wedding, coming back to the first person who believed in him, stood by his side throughout the story, was there to always be a guiding voice for him when things got rough, making both Iruka and me cry. This might be one of my most favorite moments in the series, and it's back here behind 700 episodes of two separate anime in what could be called a filler arc. Wild. The story fully ending here and the book of Naruto closing. The child of prophecy becoming the leader of a new generation and dealing with whatever might come in this world of ninja. And then Boruto happens. Boruto is weird, man. It's a manga that while I don't really think it's bad, I also don't think it's that good either, with an anime that's more of a mixed bag than Naruto's ever was. After the main manga ended, it was announced not too long later that Boruto would exist, both as a movie and a manga. The movie coming first with the manga retelling it and then moving forward with a brand new plot, created and overseen by Kishimoto. but drawn by one of his longtime assistants, Mikio Ikemoto. While at the same time, Kishi was also writing and overseeing a brand new series, Samurai 8, it being drawn by other longtime assistant, Akira Okubo. Now, I kinda wanna do a video on Samurai 8 itself one day because I think there's some things to talk about, but it goes without saying that it failed pretty hard. Fans of Kishimoto's, both in Japan and across the West, pretty much coming out in waves to shit on each new chapter until it was cancelled at 5 volumes. For what it's worth and what I'll say here, I kind of really like Samurai 8, I'm not gonna lie to you. I love a good space shonen, I think they're fun as hell. I really enjoyed Okubo's art, even if there was some kinks to work out for his first weekly series. And I liked what few characters there got to be before the end, but it is what it is, and that's a different topic. But now, with Samurai 8 having ended, Kishimoto was focused on Boruto. Ukyo Kodachi, who had been doing script supervision, leaving the book and being largely planned to the ending by Kishimoto himself, while Ikemoto filled in the blanks on the journey there. And that journey has been You can assume by how I already talked about the alien shit that I'm not a fan of the Otsutsuki being a major part of this plot. And yeah, you'd be correct, I still think this shit is dumb. But just scooting that aside for a second, I don't dislike the concept of Boruto at all. Honestly, I think it does have potential that it sometimes capitalizes on. The world of Naruto is one I already thought was cool. It being set in some weird, unclear time period where people both use carrier pigeons and crystal balls while having TVs and VCRs. Like, the Leaf Village has power lines in it, but the Ninja War Command Center used mind transfer jutsu in some big stone rock console to cast it across the world instead of, like, you know, a radio? I don't really understand. Shit doesn't make much sense here. So seeing a future where it kind of addresses that technological aspect is really fun. Boruto entering the Chunin exams and failing because he used scientific ninja tools and not his actual shinobi talent. That guy Ao from the Water Village's body getting mangled and being rebuilt as a scientific weapon, complete with machine gun body. Boruto playing his ninja switch with scroll cons and collecting trading cards of famous ninja. Like, I think these things coming to exist in the future of Naruto, largely because of the peace that was gained during the war, is a really cool progression of the world. Even if some of these characters have about as much importance as their original Naruto counterparts, I do love seeing the adult versions of the former Konoha kids and their new families. Like, of course Shikamaru became Hokage Naruto's right-hand man. He whips ass. Shout out Choji for staying true to himself and his eating habits while still getting a bad bitch. That's my goat. Don't know why Ikemoto did this to Gaara. Someone should probably be shot over this hairstyle. There's also Sarada, who I think pre-Two Blue Vortex had a really bad design, but she is for sure starting to improve, both as a character and now having a design that doesn't cause me physical pain. Also, what's up with Mitsuki? This is just a weird character. It's already crazy that Orochimaru is even allowed to exist at all, but his two-born kid being a part of the new team is random. There's gotta be some levels to how forgiving we can be in this world of ninja. Adult Naruto himself does feel like another great progression of his character. Now the level-headed Hokage, husband, and father that has to deal with his son being a shit like he was, while keeping this whole village safe. And it is just nice to see, I don't know. Things like him using a shadow clone to stop Boruto and Kawaki from fighting while he's taking a shit is great because it feels like something Naruto would do. but also having a shadow clone show up for Himawari's birthday party because he was too busy doing Hokage stuff. Still not really getting why that isn't a cool thing to do. How that could hurt his kids because he didn't have a dad to even bail on him to start with. Having to become better himself while Boruto matures and steps into the true main character role of the story. And even if it's not perfect, I enjoy Naruto himself so much that it did help me get into all these new things that otherwise I would have been more critical of. There's that one moment in the early volumes where Boruto cleared the first round of the Chunin exams, and Naruto shows up in his room to praise him. And once he leaves, Boruto gets that big smile and rolls around on his bed from happiness. And it's the things like that where I still do feel the heart of Naruto in there somewhere, even if other things can hold it back. The series, well in the manga at least, still has the same old issues that Naruto did of not really giving a lot of these new kids the time to shine they deserve, but also considering how much more to the point of the plot Boruto is, quickly moving past the basic stuff Naruto had to begin with and jumping directly to the goofy ass alien shit, the kind of things normal shinobi are unable to deal with, just like the original Konoha kids. I do understand that choice, I just think it's a bad choice. My actual biggest complaint, Otsutsuki aside, is a combo of the art being so much weaker than nearly any of Naruto's 700 chapters, especially for a now monthly series, combined with the fact that I just don't think Ikemoto himself has the sauce. Now listen, this is not me saying that I think all of his art is bad, because that's not fucking true. But it's more so when you have a direct comparison, when you can pull any page from any volume of Boruto to a random chapter of Naruto, look at them side by side and make the comparisons. I legitimately struggle to find any piece of Ikemoto's art that gives me any of the same reactions I felt during Naruto. And at times, I think it can even just be outright ugly, with fight scenes that fail to come close to a Kishimoto boarded one. They kinda remind me of more like a lesser version of Toyotaro's fights over in Dragon Ball Super. This said, I do think Two Blue Vortex, the part 2 of the series, jumping ahead 3 more years, was a smart move to make, aging the whole cast and massively helping most of their designs, Boruto and Sarada especially. And even with all of that criticism, I think Ada, unironically, has one of the best designs in the whole franchise. And now at least Boruto himself no longer looks just outright awful at times. Like, I think his new design is for sure trying to be a bit too hard on the badass edgy guy. Like, he's just not him, I'm sorry. But it is much better than this or this. Oh, and long hair Kawaki is nowhere near cool as Shave Side's Mohawk Kawaki. This design is just a straight downgrade in my opinion. Now, I clarified earlier the manga because when it comes to Boruto's anime, that's a whole goddamn different story. Naruto may have had its filler arcs, the endless amounts of random side stories during the Ninja War episodes and flashbacks within flashbacks. But Boruto decided to go on a completely different path. One where instead of worrying about keeping pace with a monthly manga, they just made their own story with their own extra characters and arcs not even in the manga. But also then randomly adapting manga arcs occasionally before going back to their own story, eventually ending after linking back up with the manga, but only to an extent because they're so different, creating this weird rift between the manga and anime where at least for now, you might as well consider them to be two separate things story-wise. One is not needed for the other, and I think it's pretty fucking dumb. Deciding to make an over 200 episode anime that is, by and large, not canon with its manga and saying, no, it has its own story, but it's still important, it's just its own thing. When what was obviously happening was TV Tokyo wanted to keep a weekly anime going in the time slots Naruto had filled for 15 years at any cost. And that's kept me away from the anime outside of watching hype moments on YouTube. Maybe 2 Blue Vortex will change all of that, but I don't know. The original anime is just literally its own thing. Also, the dinosaur stuff gets made fun of all the time, but that doesn't really upset me like it did others because it's from a white novel, so who cares? But it is extremely funny that you can just say, yeah, Boruto is about aliens and dinosaurs, and not be totally incorrect. All of these criticisms about Boruto aside, and it probably sounding like I hate it, I really, truly don't. Like, I am interested to see where it goes. Starting off with Boruto and Kawaki fighting in the destroyed Leaf Village was a super smart move. Them both having small design clues of what would lead us here, like the karma tattoos, Boruto wearing Sasuke's headband and having Byakugan eyes. And it does make me want to see how we get to that point. And while Kawaki himself is an obvious Sasuke type for Boruto to bond with like his dad did before him, I really do enjoy the relationship these two have, and I like Kawaki as a character. I like Ada using her powers to reverse the roles of Boruto and Kawaki. I do want to see their story conclude. It's just the things like Jigen / Ashiki, Code's loser ass. And don't even get me started on how much I hate these boring tree people. Like, anything involving aliens is always gonna take me right back out, and I doubt that will ever change. Like, goddamn, these dudes suck as much as the Heater Gang in Dragon Ball Super. Both are boring sequel villains with no sauce. Also, I really hope Ikemoto doesn't do Himawari dirty. I actually think this is fun and I'm down for baby Ninetales adventures, even if the exact sentence I just said is really fucking stupid. Fucking Ninetales dying and then coming back as a baby fox. Come on. I guess to wrap this big ass video up and finally get out of here, I just really want to say that, even if I have my criticisms of Naruto, Kishimoto's writing and the turns characters' lore takes, problems with both anime and all of them still kind of continuing into Boruto, no matter what, I fucking love this series, dude. I love this art, these characters, this world, all of it. Yeah, I can look at things I dislike and judge them as I see fit, but that don't take away anything from how I feel about Naruto overall. You can never make me hate my fucking dude, and that's that. I know it's kind of cool online to make fun of Naruto now, to shit on Kishimoto, and especially when you got Boruto not helping its case at times. But I don't care, man. Naruto still whips ass, and you can never convince me otherwise. Even if I criticize it, I'm gonna read Boruto to the end. You better believe I'll be there on the day the final chapter drops. And who knows, maybe I'll put the gun to my head and make a video for it. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hit the shit below and please consider looking at the Patreon for $3 to $5. It helps me make these fuck-ass long videos while YouTube falls apart and the cost of living in America continues to be literally insane. So if you see your name on this screen right now, legitimately, I love you with my whole heart. See you next time with something much shorter, I swear to God. Later.